It's a different question, isn't it? We shall see that in the game. Well, let's get into it and say some gyros. I don't think we're guessing gyros here. Did Leave go for the Deathfire touch? I actually didn't get to see that in time. I think the crowd mics are off. Wow, okay. Barrier taking used level 1. No, it's footwork on Senna, so he's not going for Deathfire touch. I guess it's a very pokey lane versus the Ezreal Bard, but Deathfire touch with the Black Cleaver is really, really nasty. EDG, Jayo, EDG, Jayo, EDG, Jayo. OMG, Jayo, OMG, Jayo, OMG, Jayo. Okay, there we did it. Spiritually, they have been Jayo'd. I mean, to be honest, I am that kind of person who will Jayo for any hang on, Leave, but you can't just take free auto attacks and not attack back. Free is in, like, not at cost, not 3, but spoken with a, you know, British accent in some cases. You got 3 of them. You know what I mean? See how Leave can get out of this early part of the lane. He's gone for the Doran's Bow, interestingly, for the extra attack speed. Now, that's even more interesting, because Senna doesn't have very good attack speed scaling. Because for those of you that don't know, percentage attack speed affects champions with base attack speed differently. And Senna doesn't have that particularly... Oh, Sinion's overpushed here. Flash forward, there'll be a gold card on top of that too. He flashes anyway, and I'm pretty sure he's just going to die for first blood. Sinian walking away for now. Actually, not that bad. Almost there for the survival. Will go down for the first blood, but it takes an extra flash out of the Twisted Fate, and it will take an extra kill. I wonder if that gold card had been loaded up just a second or half a second earlier, whether that would have changed anything. The Q misses the wall there. Photic jumps forward, misses the Q, though, in the back end of the trade. Leave and Dre will... not be too unhappy with that, actually. See that Leave trying to get that double tap for the passive. Can't quite get that, though. Photic not in the happiest spot. You can see that Leave already at 10. Hang on. Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean he's at 10 stacks at 3 minutes? That's not normal. Stacks are pretty hard to get very early on as Senna. He's getting them pretty well there, actually. He's been managed to double tap well. This is the thing about the Senna. You have to play quite aggressively early on to get the stacks. Because, particularly in a game like this where you need to be such a threat, and you really do in this game, actually, you need to be, oh, that's the buffs to the AP ratio of Ezreal, by the way, in 26-9. I believe it is, anyway. It's a double range bot lane, no less. For sure, I genuinely think Leave is the best stacking AD carry in the world. Now, he is stuck down on EDG, a Nevada team in LPL, but from everyone I've seen, but at least within tier 1 play, no one's gotten close. What he does on Senna and Smolder. Not that many people are playing those champions right now, but the last time it was meta, he was the best at doing that. I think he got 225 on Smolder in like... Oh, was it like 17 minutes? 17 something? Or was it 1840? I don't know. Like, it was really, really quick is what I remember. I can't remember the exact number, though. Photic actually taking a decent trade back there. Of course, OMG made a big change to their roster midway through the split, where Starry, who'd kind of been there... Well, he was their captain. He'd been their talisman for a while. Good sidestep there. Leave gets another stack. But yeah, he got benched after having, you know, one very good game in a couple of series, a couple of really poor ones outside of that. So, for instance, 1xN and missing just totaled OMG spot lane. And Photic, I suppose, they decided that that was it, which is a surprise, because OMG, I mean, I don't really know what that kind of change is going to do at this point. I think they're, hang on a second, jumping up again. They really want those, hang on, they get those stacks again, get one off Moam. Leave didn't get the second stack onto Photic there in that trade. Oh, there's the second auto for the stack in that trade, I don't think. Welcome into the chat, by the way, Zagreta. Oh, missed that Q, though. I really like the way that Leave has been angling his Qs of the minions. Been very accurate with them on the whole. ReZero is in that bot lane bush. Wait, who's Ram? No, Leave, you don't want to be there. Pantheon actually got tapped with that passive, by the way. Ah, yes, someone else for a soul. Is there not a Photic top laner too? Photon. Photon. He's playing for playing in LCS right now. Used to play in the LEC. He's an LCK Challengers player. He never made it up to LCK, and then gosh, did he play in TCL actually? Oh, Leave is doing these kind of stutter taps really well, by the way. By the way, another 2 stacks there for the trade. Again, just trading his HP for 2 stacks and making sure he's not hit by the extra skill shot on the way out. This is good. I mean, I've really been enjoying watching his lane. Now, Leave is a player who, once upon a time, was billed to be the next great thing for the LPL. He was meant to be the next superstar. Especially after Uzi was retiring, it was seen as though Leave would lead the way. At least within the LPL community. And I remember on the Chinese broadcast, they were really preparing for Leave to be the next big thing. And then there were a couple of controversies around him, like him creating burner accounts to flame his jungler. Taking Dragon gives another 2 stacks to Leave. Because the Dragon dying does leave 2 of them behind. LEC to TCL and to Dig. Yeah, I knew he played in TCL at some point. I just didn't know exactly what order he did that in. 26 stacks at 7 minutes. Now, a reminder that Senna does end up getting more stacks as the game goes on, just because you're more likely to hit things. That's such a good rate. Now, you're expecting 100 stacks in, well, by 20 minutes, you're expecting, well, it used to be like, at 20 minutes, it's gone from, as 80 carry center, it went from like 70 to 80 now to like, I don't know, anywhere between 50 and 60 now it feels like it. Well, 50 would be low for 20 minutes. But it'd be on the lowest end of, except he doesn't spot the ward. Oh, well, no. Hey, Kiwi, good to see you. Oh, good to see you too, by the way, Fairy Tail and Yoso. It's all about you can cancel auto Q with the extra attack speed on center. Yeah, no, I'm starting to get that now. Where, but it's just that the extra, maybe it's just a little bit of attack speed that helps you get those early stacks. But you know, Senna does like the extra combat stats of the no, not the stack. So he's not gonna get that one. But Senna does like the extra kind of combat stats of the Doran's Blade, because Senna is a remarkably squishy champion. Grubs now started from OMG. Now, as a Senna, if you can ever get up to a Grubs fight, they do give a ton of stacks when things start dying around them. Raptors and Krugs as well, if your jungler's doing that. Stun traded in mid lane. Heal used by... Was that by... No, that was Spellbook heal from Haicha, that's what it was. Xiao has walked over to these Grubs, currently in a 1v2. A little bit spooky. ReZero goes in. Ultimate traded by Xiao Hao. ReZero is starting to get a little bit burst out here now. He doesn't have a flash, uses the E quite well, but I don't think that will save him. He goes down. Kasante continues to go all out. Harry now caught alone on the other side. Xiao Hao flashes forwards, and that'll be a 2-kill fight for EDG. In fact, the ZDZ feels so confident. He'd go for a 1v2 in the mid lane. Leave and Photic are just left on their lonesome in bot side, and EDG win the fight topside. OMG, I think they bit off more than they could chew. Again, this team, it just went... I like their drafts. I like a lot about this team. I like some of the creativity coming from ReZero, but they just don't know how to team fight. They just don't know how to play out these fights. And I don't know what helps that, although at this point it's 0-3 in series, I'm not sure what will help them. Now, you'd think with the Jace roaming down, that'd be fine, but ReZero walking up there, I think that's just a big mistake to cast that W. He has to flash away, and he dies anyway. Now, Sinian has a great double stun there, by the way. A bit of a 7-10 split. Catches the pins on either side. This is going to lose OMG the Grubs. It's going to... this is so sad for them, because now I think that, you know, Xiao Hao is well and truly into the game. And that's the kind of fight which can throw things for a real loop. Haicha has a good lead in mid lane because he has TF passive in that first kill. Is EDG's mid laner new? Yes, they are. We mentioned this a few times before, but it obviously bears repeating for people who are filtering in over time. But yeah, EDG have benched Angel. Angel is benched. The world's 20th. That's a very good dodge there from Leave. But it's a shame. It's a shame. Angel has been a real legendary player within the LPL. He's been one of our best players at points too. even within the last couple of years. And Cine is an LDL player, so he's come up from LDL. I need to look into his history a little bit more, actually. It's actually quite funny that Leaguepedia has not actually updated. Let me go look at him. Cinium. Where'd you come from? Ooh, nice stack there from League. He was on WE Academy in 25 for a little bit. Then Anyone's Legend, I think just for like a tiny amount of time. Then he was in EDG very early into this year. So he's only been playing for the last year, even in Tier 2. He's not a long-time LDL player, and LDL, of course, last year was barely playing, so... No, it's okay, Q, it's okay. Hang on a second. And decent trade there from Leaf's got 43 stacks in 11 minutes. This is really good stacking. I mean, in a second they will jump out of the fog of war. Leaf ends up getting a stack from rear. The most important thing about this trade, no, it's anti-synergy. The Ezreal ult is going to be avoided. The Senarot's not bad there. Leaf just sees, ooh, that's more people I can stack on. That's good. He's actually getting so many stacks from this, by the way. ReZero gets stunned up there. The anti-ultimate is used and they get a kill back. So even though it looked like it was going to be a big blowout play for OMG around the bot side, the funniest thing about that is Leaf just sees 4 people on a screen. It's like, damn, that's like twice the amount of people I can stack off. No, legit, if you look at the way that Leaf is playing these fights in the micro, he's choosing not to solo down a target. He's choosing to double tap people so he can get the extra stack. Legitimately, Leave is not looking to like win the fight. He's looking for stacks. They're gonna get a Dragon He'll get another 2 off of that too. He's gonna be at over 50 stacks at 12 minutes. This is a really good stacking game, dude. This guy's crazy. Oh man, hang on. Get the stack, Leave. Get the stack. Hang on, they're jumping over the Pantheon ultimate. That's gonna be decent damage onto the Senna. Oh god, no, he's just ulted right back into it. He's died. ReZero, no. Well, I mean, the anime was a lot about, you know, live, die, repeat, I suppose, and I think ReZero has been taking that to heart. Well, Harry is taking down some plates on top side. Of course, the Cassante was up there to... Oh, sorry, was down to teleport to the play. Went for that Doran's Helm start, by the way. We're seeing more of this, particularly on Cassante. Cannonball die there. 9 times bad. I mean, yeah, that was just not a good ult. Most of the time, I will give benefit of the doubt to someone like ReZero for making the creative play. Because he's a very creative, aggressive player. However, in that case, I just don't see how that works out. I mean, maybe you get to burst out Leave, but... I don't know. Okay, so now you have Shiv on Leave, so he's going to permanently wave clear now. Legitimately, the main story of this game is how quickly Leaf can get to 100 stacks, and then also just, you know, how much he's going to be able to do with that. I think at this point, though, Sinian, decent first game from him. He's actually done quite well with his anti-combos. But they drafted into it knowing that Shinzao wins every pairing. Yeah, but then your globals can make sure it's not a pairing, right? Another stack for Leaf. You need that, like, hang on a second. That's actually really close to killing him. Got a little bit spooky there, actually. Yep, Senna is not the tankiest of all champions. Oh, almost tapped with long range Q there. Again, he's really accurate with these Qs, man. I'm actually learning a lot about Senna by watching Leave. If you're a Senna player, this is the guy to watch. He is very, very good at the champion. And he's working his way down bot side, kind of licking his wounds a little bit after dying for a 3rd time already. Almost got the 3rd range increment from Leave up right now. Ooh, go on, Leave, get him. Ooh, very close. Actually, Photic has to ult to E away there, just to make sure he doesn't give up the extra stack and take the extra damage. Again, down a bit in CS, but what does he care? He's almost at his 3rd range increment, man. Almost at 60. Minus 80% health, plus 1 soul worth. Exactly. As long as you can live to stack another day. Oh. Okay, well, that's the first, like, bad Q of the game we've seen from him. Most of his other... Yeah, I'm really learning a lot about watching Senna from this. You know? So if I too can Q backwards, I will win the game of League of Legends. We scale Senna quite literally. Exactly, right? Infinite scaling. What a rush that is. I found it very interesting that Leave went for the early cloth armor as well, by the way, to tank a few extra auto attacks potentially, and also potentially minions or 2. Again, I really need to impress why this is important, right? Because Leave is... Sorry, Senna is a champion which is obviously very item dependent, but like many different champions. But the stacks are such a big part of that champion's kit. And if you stack better than anyone else, then you get more value than anyone else out of the champion. Herald is not going to get stolen, though. Another 2 stacks because Leave has been there for every single objective take on the Dragons and the Herald combined. That's added in an extra, you know, 6 stacks or so. Another 2 off that top wave. I actually cannot believe how quickly he's farming up stacks. He is getting so much value out of this. Probably going steel caps? Yeah, for sure. It's just that the interesting thing is that he went for the cloth armor, and he will probably go for steel caps, yeah, although many Senators do go for the Swifties still. It's just the fact that he went for the cloth armor first back, and then has just sat on them, and then went towards shift completion. So it's not like he went for tier 2 boots early, which some Senators have done in the past. Photic is very much behind in the wave play now in mid lane because of the Shiv on Senna. This is one of the reasons why Shiv Senna became a thing, really. Do you know what the difference between farming and feasting Senna stacks look like? Well, not that we see that much Senna support, but... I know that farming Senna, you expect, I think it's 70 by 20. Leaves hit that 3 minutes early, which again is testament to how good he is at that. In terms of fasting Senna, I'd imagine you get an extra, well, at least an extra 10 in that time, but it depends how much you're actually... Because the thing about farming Senna is that if you walk up and actually auto-attack people, same as... Well, I guess the same on either side, right? Get a lot of value. Another stack for Leave. Who cares about getting a Q trade back onto and losing most of your HP? I do need that SpongeBob basketball meme of him just, like, double-tapping people and then just dunking in... like, SpongeBob meme of, you know, dunking. Like, another soul for Leave. Gets another one down. They've just exploded the Jace around the corner. Great engagement by the Annie. Sinian's actually been impressing me so far. EDG, a lot better at walking up the objectives. They're going to get themselves another dragon. And you know what dragon means? +2 souls for Senna, baby. He's going to be at 80 stacks. He's 80 stacks off of the dragon. He's gonna get it from that. You can try and steal with another Ezreal. That won't work. There you go. He's got 80 stacks. This 4th range increment before 18 minutes. This is not normal. This is not normal. Like, legitimately, this is crazy. 3-0 getting jumped onto is very likely dead here. But, of course, the most important thing is making sure that Leave gets the double tap. Leave gets the rock in there, too. Give him the soul. There you go. +1, baby. He dies. Drops another one. +2, baby. Tower goes down. God, Leave is so happy with this. Gets another one there. Oh. Lucky, gets the cannon drop. It's normal for Leave, I know, but I want people to really understand it. Because the more that we track it in game like this, the more that people will appreciate just how damn good he is at it. It's just the way that he's been walking up, potentially into very bad trades, to make sure he can get the 1 stack, knowing that he can heal up with Qs and the Karma can keep him safe. Get 2 turrets in that bot lane push. Crazy for them. And OMG, they lose their gold lead now. There's a soul point over towards EDG. OMG... They really wanted to try and use High Chow's Twisted Fate to kind of explode a volatile matchup. Just hasn't happened. Moham's not had much value on the Bard either. Besides, you know, giving stacks to the aforementioned Senna. He's now got a Hex Optics, by the way. So he's got Shiv Hex Optics with very early item spikes. And look how Leave is immediately going towards his jungler to make sure he can get some stacks off of Wolves too. I think he ends up getting 1 or... Yeah, he gets like 1 or 2 off of that. Wow, that's crazy actually. The funny thing is, right, you can actually afford to drop a minion or 2 because it does mean it's more likely to give a stack. Oh, this stuff genuinely entertains me. So we're coming up on the 20-minute mark, and Leave has blown out the soul count to, well, he's going to have around about 90 at 20 minutes, you know. That's absurd. Slightly below that. See how much he gets. Does he get an extra couple from this wave? There you go. He's getting 90 at 20 minutes. Exactly. There you go. 90 stacks at 20 minutes. That is 20 above what I would expect from a farming Senna. Yep, I completely understand how it's kind of like a very snowbally system for Senna as well. The more range that you get, the more, well, the more damage and everything you get, right? The crit chance obviously gets gained per 20 stacks of the souls. The easier it is for you to trade and get souls beyond that point because of your range. Yeah, for sure. pushing onto the top turret. They have the 3 grubs, which makes it a lot easier for them. The Ezreal actually does do a good job of chunking out a couple of members, but Leaf's Q will heal them back up. Do they pull the Sanarol? No, they're not going to pull a Twist of Fate TP. He's on the bottom side of the map, but you need to use a Summoner Spell TP. Hey, Katari. I also have a coffee. I should probably be drinking that instead of yapping at some point. Maybe I should do some more of these casts where I just deep dive into a single player, particularly in games like this. When you've got, like, EDG and OMG was a legendary matchup from 2013, well, 2014, because EDG came in there. But that was the kind of era, right? Because OMG came off of 2013, took a game, they took the first ever game off of Faker internationally, which of course would go on to be a pretty important milestone, actually. OMG were one of the greatest LPL teams to exist in the early era of League of Legends, one of the originals, and one of the best teams in the early eras of League. They were, you know, constant international challenges at 2013 Worlds, 2014 Worlds, and then 2014 All-Stars. They had 3 international events in a row. EDG then, of course, went on to be much more regionally successful and much more successful in general beyond that point. Oh, you can't run from that stack. In fact, he can jump away. You can't just fly away from your problems, Dave. But Dave could, because he had a jetpack. Hang on, that's a good ultimate onto the Karma. Leaf's going to walk away. Gives the untargetable, actually, from the center E there. That's more stacks to begin. Get them leave. Get them leave with your stacking stick. Leave, walk up and get a couple of double taps. And they could play around his E there, though. Come on, give him the extra stack. Nah, I'm just W that. Plate off a mid lane turret. Leave us 98 stacks, man. Leaving the stacking stick. He is just a stacking stick. Does it sound strange? No. What are you talking about? Nah. I never said that. You can see that the Shiv also applies the on hit. So you can actually get the double tap of your passive from Shiv and just a random Q. Quite easy to get them because of Shiv now. It's one of the reasons why center stacks have gone up a little bit. When does he get his next stack? Come on, Leave is about to get it at 23 minutes odd. Oh, bloody hell, it's a good bunch junk onto him. Haichao might be in a spot of trouble now. Does it E out? So he should be safe there. He has the Dusk and Dawn, by the way, Xiaohao. We will note that. That's another interesting thing to see from this game. So he's going to have extra healing from Sundered Sky and the Dusk and Dawn. It's a shame how far all the great LPL teams of old have fallen. FPX, RNG, OMG, LGD. Yeah, for sure. I think that you know, many of the great orgs of LPL have struggled to live up to their old greatness. Leave gets hit by a shock blast. The Tibbers goes down a little bit. The Sante goes for the all out, ends up ignoring the Bard ultimate somehow because of that. That's a great burst coming through from Xiaohao, and ReZero once again will have to reincarnate and find out about a timeline to find his way forward. ZDZ continues to go all out. He actually might just kill here. The Chemtech Soul makes it pretty easy to walk away with that too. Leave ends up getting the last auto, which kind of ends up tracking the last person. The W lands. That might be a dead J2. In fact, it will be because the W lands. EDG, well, congratulations to 100 stacks for Leave, who immediately jumps up another 7 beyond that too. He hit that around the 23-minute mark. EDG have not had a contest in any of these fights. OMG, they got, you know, 2 kills from Haichao's ultimate usage, but they've not been able to win any group fights. And I walked away from the draft thinking, you know what, it's not bad. OMG are a good drafting team. They just don't know how to team fight. They don't know how to skirmish. Their laning phase is fine, I suppose. Even compared to last split, it has been a torrid time for them. Torrid time. Jesus, man. Leave is at 130. This is just not normal. Every time I see a Senna in pro play, the Senna drops a lot of farm, drops a lot of souls to try and influence fights, whereas Leave has still been doing, you know, impact in fights. But then he's been getting the value elsewhere too. That's another tracking auto, by the way, as ReZero kind of... The Senna auto attack, because it's not a particle, it's very hard to cancel it. If you flash away midway through the auto attack wind up, it's a good chance it will follow you anyway. Another one. He has 2 tracking auto kills in the same fight. That's crazy. You don't see them very often. Pick up the soul, leave. Pick up the soul, leave. Yes, he did. That's the most important thing. Outside of Bard, this comp doesn't really touch Senna. Well, if TF ult gets a gold card and there's a Jace, then they can do too. That's not a bad ult there from Xiao Hao. Sinny goes into the middle of things, and ReZero will die for, what is that, a 5th time? 6th time? He's died a lot this game. Too many times, one might add. Leave will get another soul there by landing the W. Good job there. Baron's going to be started because, well, the Pantheon's dead. Well, what are OMG going to do? Sinian has charged up the stun again. Doesn't have the Tibbers, but does have Flash and Protobelt to get right up in your business. Midlane turret likely going to fall as a cost of the Baron, but I don't think EDG care. OMG will take the free turret. There you go. By the way, Leaf gets another stack or two from How. No, Hai Chao. He's greeted to try and look for the retreat from the Baron takers. Can't find that. And that's going to be 120 a stack. One from the death, one from the double tap. Lever's got 121 stacks at 26 minutes. What a crazy time, man. So he has himself 6 range increases. He is getting to the point where he's longer range than a Caitlyn now. I think it's 120 where 120 where you match range with Caitlyn. It's pretty arbitrary, right, in terms of how many stacks you think is important. But you also do end up getting 10% crit for 20 stacks as well. Herxops gives you 25%, so he's just mad damage, mad stats everywhere, right? Anything over the 100, you end up getting into lifesteal. This should probably be the game. This has been a fun game of Senna watch, really. That has been the most entertaining way to watch this game, let me add. Leave. Just a little bit of a shield there. We'll start to heal up with the Q, of course. With the extra Chemtech Dragons, we'll heal up some more too. OMG, this is looking like, well, not the beginning of the end. It's like the middle of the end and getting close to the end of the end, really. And OMG, on the other side of it, reminder that if things go poorly for them, Cassante W ignores Bard ult, because of course it does. Because why is it unstopped? I still think, look, Cassante W is the most broken regular ability in the game. I'm sorry. I talked about this on Jamada's stream, and I was in his chat with it. Jamada's saying, well, you know, Neela W is really broken and a couple of other abilities. I think Cassante W is the most broken ability in the game. There is never a bad why are those recalls so loud? Anyway, there's never a bad situation to use the Cassante W in, and it does everything. It makes you a tank, it gives CC, it's mobility, it's damage, it's unstoppable, it's crazy. I think Cassante W is the most overloaded ability in the game. It literally does everything. What a crazy ability. The only bad part about it is when you use it, it goes on cooldown. Exactly, yeah. Why can't it always be off cooldown, you know? And it used to be way more broken too. People used to say Veigar is broken ability too, and I'd agree, Veigar is a very broken ability, but I think just Cassante W is crazy. Infinity Edge for Leaf, by the way, so he has well over 100% crit now. And that starts to go back in towards lifesteal. Leaf is going to be doing, oh bloody hell, that's a lot of damage. That's the crystalline overgrowth, but even the Q there on Defoe, that's a single Q on Defoe, no? Third of his HP. Look at the range increase. It's an artillery platform. Oh gosh, that's a huge amount of damage. Twisted Fate goes down, and Casante's behind them in the base. Goes for the Zeke's flashes forward for the final tap onto that next kill. Photic will have to flash towards base. Very nearly dies there, and Defoe will do the C. Mikhails is not enough to save him. OMG, well, they're going to meet their maker here. Sadly for them, there's no God listening. 0-3 and down 0-1 in their next series. OMG, they lose this, they are out. OMG. What a torrid split it has been. EDG on the other side, a confident win. There was no sign of earlier indecision. It's the English gyro time? It is. It is. On to the roof we go. EDG, gyro, EDG, gyro, EDG, gyro. OMG, gyro, OMG, gyro, OMG, gyro. Yeah, you can put them in chat. We need a gyro emote. That's what we need. We need a gyro emote. Maybe I should get in. Hang on. In fact, funnily enough, I actually just I hadn't watched their stream for a while, but I was watching Mercury's stream for the first time and all. He's the artist on my channel. I might commission them for a Gyro emote, maybe. We would actually use that as the thing. Now, you in chat, you tell me what you'd actually use as an emote, because I will commission some at some point, you know? I have so many emote slots free. Level 1, Mo's looking for the hook. Shui, you need to position a little carefully there. Doesn't get hit by that hook. Although the skill shots onto leave have been fine. Xiaohao's going for blue buff into Raptor Invade. It's not like the Vi can really answer this. So what Xiaohao will do now is likely go Raptors to Raptors. Now, doesn't get all... Wow, he really missed all of them, huh? So he missed both the Q. So he's going to miss one small Raptor. It doesn't stop the camp from dying. The camp will still be jungled. You can't counter jungle like that anymore. Just leave one little camp up, little Raptor. So now Rizzo, what options has he got? Well, he can't contest on bot side, so he's just going to be straight down one camp. Your chat doesn't emote much. Well, I mean, not compared to like Kadril, who's like emoting all the time, but they're 7 TV emotes is the thing, right? Hang on, good. I was wondering if the glut lines would come through that. It does eventually. It was on cooldown. No, we're a very sophisticated chat. We use our words, you know. Next hook of the game. Dre does get hit by that one. It's not bad. Healing to go forwards there. Leave gets himself the auto attack reset. Nice from that. Does he flash for that confirm? No, Mom does pull out of that. The Q does land though. From the Ziggs. I mean, Photic and Mom, I thought they weren't trading that badly. But then, I don't know. Photic's been fine here, really. Dre does end up losing the last of his potions. Sinian, this is about where he died the last game, actually, and he might die exactly the same kind of time mark. Again, there is the miasma. He'll go down for first blood. Once again, an overpush does not put down a ward. Well, he didn't have a ward to put down. I think that was his on Raptors, presumably. He goes down quite easily. He does have teleport to get back into mid lane, so he'll only lose half the wave here. A longer teleport, though, because it's before 10 minutes, so he'll probably lose 3 minions to the tower. ZDZ early push in topside against Harry's Gnar. You put down your 2 cents? You did. They were 2 whole points. And if a point is a cent, then that is 2 whole cents. Moham potentially looking for a hook here. Ah, going into the bush. Okay, that's fair. Bush control to someone like Pyke is really, really important. So this is Comet change, right? Ah, yeah. Okay, so Comet has changed to basically it does more damage the longer range away you are, I believe, now. And that does affect Ziggs. So Comet does more damage the longer range you're further away you are from them. Although, I believe the base damage is down to compensate. So melee range or low range Comets mean a lot less. Not bad from ZDZ either. Doesn't want to miss out on too many of these minions. Go up and get that key. Xiao unseen in bot side, actually. Dway is hooked back. Decent gank angle from Xiaohao will force the flash out of there. Hang on, ZDC can look for a full kill here. Does get the in-power W. It's pretty close. Will tank a tower shot, and now with the Mega coming through, ZDC can't really finish off the trade. Mega Gnar will come through. Harry, not level 6 just yet. He'll be safe for this wave because of that Mega. You know, why is it 2 cents? Why isn't it like 2 yuan or two rupees or two pennies? You know, why is everything so... Well, I mean, I was about to say American centric, but then again, euros also have cents as well. Death by Touch. This is the new thing for 20. This rune is just so OP. They are nerfing it for next patch. I can't believe they brought this back. I just don't think Death by... Hang on a sec. Leave flashes in. That is a playable time. They don't have the heal summer spell. Leave MVP of game 1. Whoa, Tyres the barrier. It's so close. How the hell does he make it out of that? That must be single-digit HP. Moham does keep his flash. I mean, Leave tried to flash away from the skill shots. Ended up very nearly dying for it. Halo Blades got changed. The Halo Blades is now about... it does true damage for your first 3 autos rather than having 3 sped up autos. That's the change to Halo Blades now as well, which is showing on the bottom of the screen. And Moham is using that. So basically gives you extra damage on your auto attacks rather than raw attack speed. Why are you recalling there? Leave, why? Why are you recalling there? He dies of second blood. I don't get it. Leave, buddy, you could just back off. There was nothing stopping you there. Jumping up towards top side now. Harry just left. He's got the level 6. It doesn't matter, though. He's nowhere close to Mega. This goes down, but he does manage to survive. That's a double flash gank, and Harry lives on under 100 HP. Now, Xiaohao's making an impact, but is not actually getting the kills. OMG are walking away better from this early game right now. Now, Haichao, very happy with his first blood and then the CS lead that's come from it as well. And despite the fact that Xiaohao has largely been doing quite well with his own ability to impact the game, he's not managed to finish off the kills, and he's behind a lot of farm from that now. Because he went for the, the bot lane play and the top lane play. Bot lane play twice, really. It's been, it's been ReZero just kind of looking in bot lane for just one gank, which was more effective, and he ends up getting value from it. Didn't even need to use his flash. So now Moham gets to go out on the map. Moham, the way that I pronounce it is Moam. It's very, very English, it is. But, it reminds me a bit of Mawam, the sweets. Leaf still doesn't have flash. He's positioned against the wall here. It goes away from the, uses the ult there for the dash. A little bit afraid of that E connecting. I'm actually not sure he needed to use that dash, actually. I think he would have gotten out safely. Ends up blowing that one for free. Still ahead in terms of gold. Does get decent damage back on towards the Pyke as well. Of course, if Pyke ever wins lane, he gets to roam a lot more effectively too. That's a good hook onto Jue. The bone skewer landing. Does use the heal to get out of that skill shot. Not bad trade back. I thought that they were going to be really low in HP, but the good W from the, hang on a second, healing to get the move speed, flash away from the hook. Leaf starts to run at them with the Kanmei step. Tight 2v2 trading here. It's actually been very close. Leave down that ultimate, of course. Used that earlier to avoid that stun under tower. Again, I didn't think he needed to use it, but worth noting. I think that Pyke's actually been, he's been doing pretty well, Moham, I think. I'm doing alright. Deathfire so OP, I play on Nefiri mid. Yeah, Nefiri is one of the better users of it because you get your burn anyway. It just lasts for a very long time. Also, Nefiri with the Gluttonous Greaves, the healing boots, are really, really strong right now. They are really strong enough. So if you go like the boots and the, I don't know, I guess go like Black Cleaver, Deathfire Touch, you just instantly shred. Instantly shred. It's crazy stuff. You can go for like longer fight Bruiser and Nefiri very well right now. Well, ReZero has still got himself a farm advantage over Xiaohao, who's about, what, 2.5 counts behind Jue, buddy. You don't have summoners. No, you're not safe there. He spots the Pyke. He's so dead. He's so dead. Does get the poly. Hang on a second. That's actually not a, how did he not get stunned there? Don't think it'll matter though. Don't have the level 6 for the Pyke. You shouldn't have really gone through there though. It was still Fog of War. Yes, Jarvan was just there. Does not mean you're safe. Grub's now started by Xiaohao. Realm Warp was used for that play. Haichao now recalls, less ability to influence the map. Haichao's gone for the early cooldown boots, actually, for the ability to impact the game a little bit more, but not going for something like the Gluttonous Greaves or even something like the Merc Treads, actually, for the amount of CC on the other side, and plus the trading into the Cassiopeia. Really wants, I guess he wants DPS from that. Oh, yeah. G2 2019 are the best Pyke team ever. For sure they are. They played it on all 5 roles. I mean, I understand why they had to remove Pyke's AoE wave clear from Q and E, but it did make him a much less satisfying champion in other roles, right? Okay, right. Well, 4-man play on top side. Harry's going into Mega, though, so he should be safe, really. I don't think you ever dive a Gnar this close to Mega, right? Doesn't have flash. Surely you don't dive the Mega. Okay, stuns come out of here. He has ult. He needs to hold on to that. Are they just going to wait? I mean, Ziggs is going to take bot lane turret. Goes in towards turret there. Jue doesn't get hooked under turret. He doesn't get hooked under turret. There was a minion that blocked it. Moham didn't get the angle right, and the Q's not able to bring him back into tower or even just land the damage there. Of course, Moham didn't have the level 6 either for the execute. That one's quite sad. I feel like that actually should have been a kill. I think Harry had a really good set of damage onto the Lulu there. Should have been a dead Jue. Botic just continued to sit down here. It's getting pretty close to that execute range. Don't think anyone's going to be able to answer this one in time. This will be the next extra fast use passage. Very, very close now. 1 or 2 more extra autos and they'll get themselves Satchel into range. There you go. Full tower kill. Great amount of gold over towards Botic. He gets the first tower and he gets himself solo plate gold onto all 5 there as well. So he's now good amount of gold ahead. EDG, the rotation up towards top side, did help them survive the 2v2 a little bit and it did get the kill onto the Gnar, but yeah. And Moham should have been spotted around there because whenever Pyke W's near you, you hear the sound effect. So and it goes up and down based on how low HP you are. That sound effect and how close he is, I think, as well, right? So should have known he was around there. Dragon started. OMG, significant early gold lead, 2.5k up. As I said, OMG, they're still not technically out. If they do 2-0 this, if they 2-0 both their remaining series, then there's a chance they can make it in to top 2 of the group. Or so rather, top 3, escape bottom 2, rather. Top 4, I suppose, rather. Sorry, 6 in Group Nirvana. Not, yeah, they've changed the amount of teams in Group Nirvana, so I get confused on that. But yes, they'd be able to escape bottom 2, which is the big thing. Game slows down a little bit, waiting for our next objective time, as the Herald feels very important in games between teams like these. Because the Herald gives you a power play to kind of open up an area of the map which isn't well defended, and with these teams, they are more likely to show an opening. Nunu is the only champion I'll agree speaking English is good on. Yeah, man. Skewmon, the old Nunu one trick. You know, Inspired as well, who's a big, who played at Worlds, right? Moham in the enemy jungle again. He's had a pretty decent fight game, I think. Did you see that the new Vel'Koz skin has like lines specifically for Nunu? It was like, no, Nunu, you're the only one worthy enough to eat me. It's like some real crack ship stuff. It's Vel'Koz Nunu driving up to the Kaiju on top side. Does he get the empowered Q off for the healing? Might not need it at this point. Goes very, very low. Does get the empowered Q. That is so important. Moham's ultimate did not kill the death from below. Obviously, didn't quite get the damage. It was missed. I didn't quite see which one it was. There was a lot of stuff overlapping each other there. Good response from Xiao Hao and crew to defend his teammates. The teleport from Sinian also used. OMG lose about... they've lost a bit of gold over the last amount of time, actually. They were 2.5k ahead, now just about 2k. Minute to Harold now. That was close as heck. Yeah, there's a flying spaghetti monster, Vel'Koz. And because Nunu has consume as Q, he's like, Nunu, you are the great eater. Oh god, hang on, let me go find the actual voice line. I saw it on Twitter earlier. Hang on, they might just dive Sinian now. They do have a teleport on Renekton. They would have to pull it now. He won't survive long enough in this one. That's a not bad play though, actually. He does get the stun, not enough though. And no one else is coming to help him. Sinian, this is one of the problems of being a newer player, right? Is that sometimes you just don't dodge judge when you're not safe on side lanes. And right there, clearly not. Clearly not. Let me go find this quote. Where is it? Gosh, I liked it too far away. I gotta find this thing. Where is this quote? Oh, whatever. I'll find it later. I'll find it later. I'm not going to spend this amount of time. OMG get themselves a good amount of gold back now. Top lane turret basically within execute range. The Herald is going down. This is a much better game from OMG. Moham has had a pretty good game on the pike. Been involved in 3 out of the 4 kills. The only one he wasn't was that earlier mid lane kill. Onto Sinian from ReZero and Haichao. Herald over to them. They have themselves the 2 dragons themselves this time. I think Leave and Jue losing the bot lane 2v2 was really where this game started to fall into the abyss somewhat. Herald thrown into mid lane. Now the thing with this is that you don't need to full kill the turret. Hang on, jumping forwards onto Photic. This is really important. Has to climb into the Herald. That is a huge loss for them. He has to climb into that. Well, I don't know if he does have to climb into it, but now they don't get the charge. But now they don't get the charge, so they can't get the charge from the Herald to instantly kill mid-turret. So I was about to say, you don't need to full kill the turret. You just need to not... just let it charge, and then you'll throw the satchel at it. Oh, come on. That's such a That's such a freebie. That was meant to... That was a huge setup. Just slam dunk for them. Now that gives EDG a bit more time to sit and scale. Now they're going to have an extra turret to play around. Realistically, they should have been able to slam mid lane turret with that, get the satchel kill, walk up top lane, just get one more auto attack on target, and that would pretty much be... with the crystallized proc, that would be a tower kill as well. Dragon's up now. OMG, I suppose, looking to, again, use that early power of the Pyke before it falls off again. Now, this is the point where Pyke should still be in the ascendancy. You can look for those hooks out of Fog of War, still be tanky enough for this point in the game before anyone else gets huge items. Xiaohao is going to spot the dragon getting taken here. Haichao's strong on the rise. Now, Haichao has been some... Hang on a second. That's not bad on... Hang on, Mo has to flat... What is happening? Okay, well, now they're going to... Oh, God, the teleport's bad too. ZDC's going to get the empowered W. OMG, not like this. Not like this. Xiaohao very nearly goes down, though. If they kill the jungler, perhaps they can revisit this equation. Xiaohao needs to be careful. He is very close to being within Pyke execute range. He does have a pot ticking on him. You can see those green particles will heal a little bit from the jungle item by attacking that dragon. The mountain dragon, not great at individual DPS. They have to back off. What an awful teleport from Harry. Dragon goes down. EDG will take themselves a nice kill there. Moem it flashes for free. Harry ends up teleporting, flashing, and dying. Between the... Hey, Andrea actually might die to an ultimate here. Might have been able to trade ult for ult there with oh no, sorry, Photic didn't have ult, so that's my bad. So what happens here? So Moem... You should not be going in with an E like that. Harry then, you know, teleports, flashes, and dies. That is just a bad teleport angle. The ultimate's not bad from Photic. It gets decent damage onto Xiaohao. It's almost at the point where Moham could have ulted and killed. Haichao's still fared. He's got his 2 stacking items very, very far up, right? Whereas Sinian is much further behind on that. Hey, Associ. Good to see you. Hey, good to see you, Nightstar, as well. Haichao getting more gold from this top turret. Is this just going to come down to Rise hyperscaling? He's got the empowered boots of Lucidity, so he's gone for the cooldown boots rather than the Gluttonous Greaves or the Merc Treads, which we more commonly see on the Rise. Sometimes see the Swiftness boots as well versus the Cassiopeia for stepping out of those skill shots, which cause you a whole bunch of issues, and versus Onivia as well. So, because they're quite often his choice matchups, you see quite a lot of them. Moham's going to walk up and be spotted by Xiaohao here, jumping onto Dway, the Q cast from Rare. He might go for a dunk here, actually, Haichao. Does have the EQ available still. We use it over onto the red buff. Harry has Mega Gnar, was walking up. That's probably why they didn't want to immediately pull the trigger there. Moham looking for the Q, does get onto Dway. They'll finally get the mid lane turret, but Moham just dies. Insta one-shot. This is the problem with the Pyke later on. Once Pyke gets to about, well, look at it, 20 minutes into the game, just crossed that time mark, he becomes just an instant one-shot target. Because you can't build extra HP on the Pyke. You have to build AD, because they actually hard-coded it into his passive, where effectively, if you build HP, it turns into AD instead. So tank items are just damage items for him. That's how they made him an assassin support. It's the only way they could hard-code it, basically. So while mid lane turret goes down, Moham dies for free. When I say for free, it's... Well, I mean, it was for free. That wasn't part of any other trade, really. Doesn't have flash here. Does have his ultimate. Xiaohao had a pretty good time of catching out people as they go forward. Xiaohao and ZDZ. For those of you that don't know, Xiaohao and ZDZ, we've gone to a bit of a story time here. Xiaohao and ZDZ have stuck together through the works. Through the wars they have been. You know, they were initially together on... Gosh, was it Anyone's Legend back in 2023, I want to say? They were on a team right at the bottom of the table in 2023, together as a duo. And they went on a huge loss streak, like a very, very bad loss streak for themselves. Yeah, Anyone's Legend in 2023. They were there for a long time, actually, together. And then... despite the loss streak, Xiaohao impressed so much, particularly Xiaohao. Impressed so much that they actually got picked up at the start of 2024 after Weibo had made World Finals to go on to Weibo, and they came together there. Now, I don't think they were the problem which people said they were on that team. They just happened to get replaced by Breathe and Tarzan, so what can you do there? And then, of course, they went on to, I think it was Rare Atom together for a bit too, and then they went on to EDG. So they've been through 4 teams together. And I think that particularly Xiaohao has been the better of the duo. But I think the duo together has been a pairing which I've enjoyed watching them. It's kind of like, you know, Shanji and Aki as a top jungle duo. Bin and Shun over the last few years as well.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, these two players, you know, they've come onto EDG together, and EDG has not achieved what they wanted to. But this top jungle duo, they've been a fun one to kind of track across their teams. Now, they've been there together for like a very long time. What, 3-4 years now? Something like that. Xiaohao, even in 2023, Xiaohao was actually probably up there in terms of like my top junglers in the league, actually. This guy was insane in 23 and 24. And I know that it's somewhat, you might call foul on that now and say, oh no, he's bad or whatever, because EDG has not been doing very well for the last year and a half as he's been on the roster. I think that Xiaohao individually is still impressed quite a lot, really. Dragon spawning now. EDG got that last one. EDG taking the, or electing to go through bot lane, taking the opportunity to go through there, trying to avoid the thinner choke point of Tribrush for the Ziggs. They get some CC. Dway takes a ton of damage. Xiaohao is going in, stacking the Conquer. Needs to be afraid of the Pike ultimate. Dway uses that heal, bit of sustain there. Q used from ReZero. Ward's been cleared out. Xiaohao going a little bit low. Good Ziggs Q. That's a Renekton going straight into the middle of them. Where is the Empowered Q? That's not bad damage. The Mega Knot doesn't hit that many walls. Getting very close. That's going to be the Pike ultimate flashed away from. The ultimate from the Ziggs to take down one there. Haichao's going into the play. And CDC is really trying but can't quite get it. Haichao has the damage. And he finally has scaled a quadra kill. But Photic on the Ziggs, though, is the hero of the fight, as the artillery is just the caliber they need to take the dragon and the lead in the game. Sam literally just walked in to give me a coffee at that moment, so I'm now caffeinated. Oh, wonderful it is.
I slipped and got you the coffee.
So did I say slice?
Slice is the one,
instead of chop, yeah. Initially, I thought this was going, well, really badly for EDG, because Dre was just getting exploded by fellow Yordle in the Ziggs. And then CDC gets, like, the mother of all Renekton team fights, and the Mega Knot's not that good, because Xiaohao goes through it with his own ultimate, and the Ziggs ultimate doesn't kill him, and then Dre walks into it. Dre walks into the ultimate. That's not very good from him. So you've lost your Lulu. The Ziggs has done, like, you know, a megaton's worth of damage, and they just don't have the damage to kill the Ryze. The Ryze is too tanky at this point. He's got Seras and he's got Roa. Quadra kill for the Ziggs as he just gets to sit and fly. Really good fight from him.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've always liked Moem's Pike. Doesn't get to pull it out very often, but I appreciate it here. And Photic, having made a journey down to the doldrums of Nirvana, has kind of got a bit to prove, really, having left IG.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining me, Sam. Thanks for your quick little word in there. We've got AL versus WE just beyond this too. Sam will be joining us for that one. ReZero is coming through. Here comes the Ryze as well. The Miasma helps a little bit. Haichao walking forwards, doesn't have the summons to pull in there. It's a teleport from Harry, so a little bit skewer from OMG, but they do have a 4k gold lead and Mountain Soul point. So at this point, you would assume that OMG win this game. Baron's being started. Xiaohao doesn't have flash. He's quite low HP as well, and there is a Pike ultimate ready to execute. They should know this is going down. This might come down to a smite fight. Bloody hell, Dre just got 2/3 HP. Xiaohao's low HP as well. One more skill shot, and he's actually within Pike ultimate range. That is scary as hell. Mohem, though, it's going very low, and he's just dead. So no Pike ultimate. That'll solve it. Jumping into CDZ, he's going to buy some space and some time. Mega Knot used defensively. Double kill towards the Yunara, though, and the Baron goes to, well, it goes to OMG. They won't be able to steal that one away, but 3 dead for it. 3 dead for it, and the shutdowns come through. Mohem, Sam was just talking about it. He walks in, immediately casts a curse and walks away. He just walks in, praises the Pike, and he dies. Oh god, oh god. Sam just did a hit and run. Oh jeez. OMG, I mean, they thought they could rush it, but I mean, Photic doesn't quite get the poke into... I just don't get why Mohem had to walk up like that. One more skill shot from Photic would have made the difference. But seriously, player of the game for EDG is this Renekton. I mean, ZDZ is buying so much space in the front line. Just look at the value this Renekton gets. Like, I mean, you see that Leave gets a huge chunk onto Mohem, and you know, that's a really good play from him. But just look at what ZDZ does. Just walks in and says, well, my Jarvan's too low, too bad, I'll do it myself. Even Xiaohao gets hit by another skill shot there looking for the steal. And ZDZ just walks up and says, nah, I got this. I mean, Dre flashes for reasons beyond me, really. Dre's not had the best game on the Lulu, I'll say. Dragon up in 2 minutes now. Baron's on 2 members for OMG. They're behind a little bit of gold. Of course, they did still get the objective, and the buff is still on mid and bot lane. So it's not the worst case scenario, but EDG still getting a lot of value out of this Renekton. We are actually at the point where I think that ZDZ is so fed, he actually might be able to carry this game himself, especially with Harry being so far behind. He might be able to deal with the Rise. Definitely the Ziggs, but maybe the Rise. Pushing in once again. Reminder, you have the Ziggs with the execute on the satchel, so he definitely has some ability to cause issues with the Baron buff. There you go. In a turret, easily take him. So now the Baron buff goes into the positive. ZDZ's pushing on the other side. So he's going to get himself almost... Well, they do have 3 grubs, EDG, so they actually do get a decent amount of tower damage here, despite the fact that Ziggs is the tower killer. Dragon in a minute now. ZDZ not going to be able to get the full inner turret on top side. Got to win the next fight, EDG, and ZDZ kind of has to be the person to do that. So he's going in towards his 3rd item. Is he going towards Spirit Visage, maybe? The extra healing and shielding. Didn't manage to complete his 3rd item there. Stridebreaker Starax is, it's not, you know, Shojin Black Cleaver, but he has a really good ability to stick in the front line now. Does have the teleport if he takes a chunk. He's going to go and answer Rise in the bot lane. There's a death cap on Photic alongside... He's a 3.5 item Ziggs. I mean, he hits skill shots and you see right there. Jway, buddy, you can't be walking into those. He's just going to almost die. Jway has had a pretty awful game here on the Lulu. Just walking into Ziggs skill shots. Blue Trinket was used. He's going to recall immediately as to not be completely late towards the dragon fight itself. Photic, I mean, good skill shot accuracy, but Jway is kind of just walking into them too. Xiaohao trying to buy some vision here. Mohem goes in for the Q. ReZero goes over the wall. Xiaohao goes very low himself. It's going to be a trade to jungle. It's not even going to be a trade. Xiaohao lives through the play. That is disaster from OMG. It's ReZero. He gets blasted. The ultimate from Xiaohao makes him unstoppable through the last bit of CC. ReZero has been trying for these aggressive plays all series. It just hasn't worked. The Meganar lands just onto the Lulu. That's not really enough, and he's going to get polymorphed out. Harry flashes away. Perhaps they can walk forwards again. Can the Cassiopeia chase him down? Good damage there from Chai Chow. It's the Dominus pot from ZDZ. Was prepared for a bigger fight. That's going to be Dragon, and the gold lead from OMG just continues to ebb back into... neutrality. EDG, they had no right winning that dragon fight, folks. They had no right. While they were that far behind, I know that they have you know, a Pyke that's not really a late game champion. Absolutely isn't. It's one of the worst scaling champions in the game. The Pyke is just not it. And the EDG somehow managed to clear their way through this as Mohem goes in for the stun, trades it for an EQ, and then ReZero just loses his mind. They think they can full combo, but they don't. He greeds for an auto attack, allows Xiaohao to survive a little longer. The Well Growth comes through, the Miasma comes down. Pyke, what the hell happened to the Pyke? I didn't even catch that in live. The Pyke, what just happened to Pyke? Huh? He just lost like 90% of his HP in one shot. That must have been the Infinity Edge crit from Leave. Leave just hits him with a single auto attack and he just explodes. Excuse me? I don't think Mohem missed his ult. I think he hit it because he blinked forwards and then he died. Wait, no, maybe he did miss it and then flash forward. Oh, God. But, no, I think he did hit it because he blinked forwards, right? I think. Isn't that just what Pyke does late game? Yeah, Pyke is beyond the 20-minute mark, not really a champion. And now Leave is at the point. I think Leave might be able to solo carry as well now. ZDZ has 3 items, including a Spirit Visage. So he is literally there just to take up a place in the front line. Thanks for the follow, by the way. Pre-pledge. Really appreciate you. And if anyone else is sat around enjoying yourselves here, please think about dropping likes, follows, subscribes on the channels that you're watching on. It does make a difference, and if you'd like to give a donation over to the Ko-fi link as well, it helps us keep doing this kind of coverage. Now, there is no official LPL broadcast anymore, but so I've taken it upon myself alongside my brother as well, who's going to be joining me for the next series to cover the LPL as best we can as professional broadcasters. This is our job, and cover the LPL in a way which we think it deserves. Leave is so fed. He's got the Gluttonous Greaves as well, which allows him the extra healing to sustain through. Now, the thing about the Nymaera is that Nymaera doesn't really get that much sustain in her build normally. Sometimes you dip for a Bloodthirster at 4th, 5th item, but it's not that often. I'm missing the hook there. Baron's alive. Dragon's up 2. See that Leave can actually afford to tank a skill shot now with the Lulu shields and start to regen up a little bit more as well if it does cut them. EDG not taking nearly as much damage than the rest of his teammates from the Ziggs, no surprises there. Just clear away that advert. Get out of here. Sinian has not had a good time of it on the other side, though. The Cassiopeia has not really been a factor. Dash away from the hook. These are the empowered boots that we're seeing, the Gluttonous Greaves. They're basically Omnivamp boots. And if you buy them in mid lane, they give you increased damage above 50% HP. And they give you increased healing below 50% HP. No one's built them in this game, though. Baron has now been started. EDG are very late on the reset here. They're not going to be able to get here in time for this one. Moham is going to get the hook onto the Jarvan, and that should be just death there. Haichao may well go for a play here. EDG's trying to get a range for a flash stun. Couldn't do so. So EDG bad on the map there. They reset a little bit too late. Couldn't get around to that. Now OMG will have Baron going into what should be their third attempt at Mountain Soul. They've lost the last two. Death cap onto both mid and bot lane. Haichao did pop the ghost for that. Reminder, folks, OMG, if they lose this game, they are out, basically, for the rest of the year. They'll have one last series against Ultra Prime, and then that's it. They will be gone for 7 months from the LPL. Depending on whether they play again next year, of course. There's every chance that teams are just struggling do drop out from the LPL. Go down to a 12-team league, or 13, 14 teams currently. Dragon in a minute. OMG trying to push in and make the most of it. See that Xiaohao is really trying to keep the wave high up the lane here so it doesn't immediately hit the towers. EDZ, well, not in that much danger. Has Sterix, and he's got his ult coming up soon as well. Satchel now within kill range on the tower. Photic close to that. The cannon will do the job itself, though. EDG not doing the best job around either defending this Baron or the towers here. But then again, I suppose they just want to... I think they just want one dragon fight, right? Xiaohao will get himself a G8. That's a big item completion from him. There's a Moor on leave as well, so he's very happy with that. Of course, the shield scales off of AD and gives you a bunch of magic resist anyway. 3.6k gold. That is actually a winnable lead here from EDG because the Pike is just not very useful, despite the fact that the Cassiopeia is also not really a champion. Now, Haichao has a 4,000 gold lead in the mid lane. And I know we've talked about, no, can CDZ carry or leave carry? I mean, realistically, Haichao, if he gets within melee range, someone will one-shot them. ReZero. On an angle, you can jump over the back of bot lane. Oh, God. Xiaohao goes very, very low. Leave flashing forwards, trying to make the difference. He just immediately pops. The Shadow Flame goes right the way through the Moor, and the Ular is just out of the play. CDZ into the play now, but without the Ular, I think this game is just over. Flying in, trying to throw in their ultimate too. It's not bad in terms of the damage coming through from ZDZ. Might be able to kill Moham. No, ZDZ goes down. Leave goes for the DPS check and is found one-sing. Sinian is not a factor here. OMG will take a game in this series. They will keep that crack of light in the door just barely visible. It is the slimmest of margins OMG would survive by in this split. Bot lane is the hero. Photic 7-0. Ziggs was always one of his best champions. You can see exactly why here. Moham and Photic winning early game despite the fact that Leave was the MVP of that last game. It was a belabored attempt, but they will get themselves to a game 3 here in our first series of the day. Well, it's like ever confirmed, but the rumor was that they had to change it because it was cult-like. That was the rumor. If someone has any extra information on that or they can debunk that, I mean, obviously let me know, but that would be, it's just very funny. Right, we'll do our own gyos here. OMG, gyo, OMG, gyo, OMG, gyo, EDG, gyo, EDG, gyo, EDG, gyo. There you go. You have been cheered for, teams. We make no exceptions here. Leave Jway walking up to the level 1 contest. There's a ward in that middle brush though, so the Nautilus can't sit there and kind of cast the hook out of vision. And also can get auto attack within that brush. Brush control, very important for hook champions, of course. We saw that with the Pike just the last game. Thank you, nice start. Wave cleared away. Jway. Now the thing is, the Nautilus very often starts with a W. I didn't actually spot which skill he used right now. Could go for the flash hook. Starts with the W. There you go, that's the shield. I must have missed it sometime earlier. That's why they were positioning the way they were. I was wondering why the body language was like that, actually. Get level 2 now. Hook misses. That's a shame. Of course, one of the big things to EDG was that they also changed out Palkia, their support. You know, the Pokemon god of space, Palkia, was a really promising rookie. And Jway has been good for a while. I like Jway. He was on FPX, and then he was on IG last split. Of course, with Mako coming back in, he didn't have a place on that roster anymore. Mako has been very good. I think the IG were correct in that. So funnily enough, you got Photic versus Jway from last split's IG. They were the bot lane just last split. Yeah, that's it, Kirby. Yeah. Yeah, for the Nirvana team matchup, sometimes we do our own gyos. Again, well, if the crowd won't provide, we shall hook pretty good this time. Goes into the Jin W. Good damage from the auto attack and the Q after that from Leave. Now, Leave's Jin is a champion which has got a lot of history to it as well. Now, Leave's Jin has been some of the best solo carry Jin I've seen in the LPL. If you want a game to go watch, if you want to go do some homework or just watch the highlights in the background, go search up NIP versus Top Esports. And I believe it was winter last year. And it was in, well, they only played the one series together, but it was game 2 of that series. Leave lost that game, but I believe he went 12-1 on the Jin, doing some despicable things on the champion. So if you want to go look up NIP versus Top Esports in playoffs, there was a game 2 where Leave played the Jin and was utterly absurd. He was solo carrying a team that was very much struggling. Mom's alone under this turret. Xiaohao will get his Q on target. That'll be a very, very dead Seraphine. She shall sing no more. You know, they never say it's over when, like, the thin lady sings. You know, what happens when the thin lady sings? Does it start then? Because it's all over when the fat lady sings. But we don't get to know about the other body types of singers. I feel like we're not learning about the supernatural powers of musical talent across the world. How did Nort Jin get shoved into Ash Seraphine? Because they were backing for an early cull on Photic. Photic had went for the quick shove into early recall for the cull. ZDZ good kiting there. Xiaohao's coming up right behind him, actually. Again, ZDZ, Xiaohao. The duo which have stuck together for years and years and years they have. What, 4 years or something they've stayed together? 4 teams at least. ZDZ is actually getting good overheat damage there, although the Q2 back with the Sundering Slam does quite well. Every team should have a guy like Jing Dong's. Yeah, I mean, like the Jing Dong man, the crowd chant, the JDG Jio guy is utterly wonderful. Just, I need him in my life. That guy is wonderful. I need him to like shoutcast and you know, need him to cheer me on. You know, everyone should have themselves the JDG Jio. Jing Dong, wonderful. There's a clip from the last year of LPL broadcast, the last time we had an official broadcast. It was Munchables and myself casting him. And Munchables was like, wow, he's like an Elden Ring NPC, because it had just come out at the time, I seem to remember. Or maybe it was a year before that, actually. Anyway, actually, no, it hadn't released at that point, but it was, you know, within, like, the time where people were talking about it a lot more. It's like, instead of Jing Dong, it's just, curse you, Bale! Xiaohao and bot side, looking for something special here. Fork shot was used, of course, but Xiaohan no longer on vision. Actually, not sure if he was spotted there. I was too busy talking about, you know, Igor. Gets hit into the CC. Lee Sin Q over the wall. Goes very low, but the Cyclone's there too. And that's important. That first Cyclone of the game. Very nasty. However, leave not bad with the first trade back as well. Photic down the summoners. There's a flash down from Dre, but it is a better summoner trade. Leave will be able to get a bit of damage down there. Leave does have cleanse, and Flash needs to flash away every 0. Going closer and closer. Has the Warrior Trickster. Another Q will do it, but can't quite find the last auto attack. A bit far from Leave, but does stop the recalls. Lee Sin will get himself Scuttle Crab. That should get him... Well, no, it doesn't get him level 6, actually. It was 3-0 getting better farming there. No kills to that ult is bad. That's true. No, first Cyclone of the game. Typically off course. Very important for the Wukong. Can't quite get himself any kill participation there, though. Hey, Solly, good to see you. So slightly to EDG, 1,000 gold in the early game is good, actually. I mean, I say slightly, actually, for this point in the game, you're completely fine with that. And Xiao Hao with that first blood onto Moham. Definitely helping things out there. You're having a good Rumble game in Arena? I haven't seen that much Rumble in Arena. I think the champion is theoretically very good, quite good if you know, get anything burned. Like, I mean, your equalizer in certain maps is just hell. On some of the more wide open ones, Rumble can struggle. By the way, folks, 3v3 Arena is a thing now. I'm going to start streaming some of it. For those of you that don't know, I actually briefly hit rank 1 in Arena in EU West. I've been top 100 in every Arena set. So you can consider myself a bit of a no-lifer of it. I will be playing some of that. I want to play in a tournament, actually, if I can. So watch out for that. I used to beat LEC pros. It was fun. I mean, they beat me too, but I used to beat LEC pros. I beat Magic Felix as well. Dude, that guy is so good. Magic Felix, when you went up against him, it's like, oh, he's going to reaction check me every damn time. That's the thing with playing against some of these pros. You just say, I was like, I can make better decisions because I've studied the mode really well, but I just know I'm going to get hands checked by them. Which is really annoying, because I came up against, like, Oscar and Razork, and I'm like, I just got hands checked. What else can I say? I just got hands checked. Hook out of Fog of War. I'm not enjoying that one particularly much. The Seraphine not really meant to be on the receiving end of those ones. Xiao Hao was also hanging around the bot side of the map. Whenever Lee Sin is near this bot lane, it's such a problem, right? Because they set up for the Lee Sin assassination so well. Build for overheat passive on Rumble and Arena. Hey, I can see it. 3-0, walking up. Trying to look for the Smite Fight. Does have the Cyclone back again. Joy doesn't have the ultimate. The arrow goes wide. Here comes the Tilir ultimate. The Encore does stretch through them. That's not bad. Smite goes to the Lee Sin. The Nautilus goes down. Angel may well have to flash away and does. The Jhin ultimate. Not awful here. Fourth shot actually goes on to Haichao. Q goes wide. There's one for Dragon. I think on the whole, EDG will take that. Ultimate looks like it was not used in top lane. I was wondering actually why the Rumble was at that HP. The Equalizer was used to equal out that wave. Jhin will go down to farm this bot side. Can't quite get in range to kill that first minion. Oh. Wait, what's 1 to 4 in Chinese? I know it in Japanese, but I don't know it in Chinese. I know it in German and English. I know it in Spanish. In Italian, because it's basically, you know, very similar to Spanish as well. I had a round where I ulted to insta-kill a Jhin and MF because my burn was critting. Oh, did you get vulnerability? Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Rob's going down here. 2 for OMG. Won't stick around for the third. So it doesn't look like Lee Sin's interested in that. Instead, he's around bot lane. Instead, they really want to snowball bot, don't they? Want to put Photic behind. He's backed well off a turret, though. Ashot's not back just yet. Seraphine Q used to try and poke out. Misses the target, though. Oh, thanks, Kirby. It's 1, 2, 3. Thanks, yeah. Actually, those are Roman numerals, those. No, they're not Roman numerals. Those are Arabic numbers, actually. CDZ, even with Harry up here, it's not going too badly for him. Thank you for writing out numbers in different kinds of scripts. Really, really helps. Phoenician numerals, yeah. The Phoenicians did a lot of work for European culture, they did. the Phoenicians were, I believe, the initial inventors of a lot of written script and trade, actually. I think they made, I think the Phoenicians made paper instead of papyrus. I think they were the first people to make paper instead of papyrus, I believe. They did, I remember they did a lot of work for the written world. And the Phoenicians were huge in trading. Like, huge in trading. Because, like, I mean, in terms of the European trade circuit, right? Because you had, like, because you had the Mycenaeans, which were effectively the Greeks before, kind of like they were known as the Greeks, right? Well, they were the Greeks. The Mycenaeans were kind of like, when you think of Trojan era and, like, the Age of Heroes, the Mycenaeans were kind of like the aristocratic society that the Greeks had before they became more, you know, city-state-like. And then they had the Bronze Age collapse, and then you had, I was actually watching a video about this the other day, you had the geometric era of Greek peoples, and that's where you got a lot of, you know, like Greek pottery has a lot of like those geometric kind of like right-angled lines and stuff on their pottery. That was when they came around, and that was when a lot of Greek peoples kind of migrated across the rest of Europe and brought a lot of their written language with them. I think that was also around the Phoenician era as well, I think, same time. Carthage go boom, that was a little later. Carthage went boom a little later. That was well beyond, that was into the Archaic Age, I suppose, and then beyond, because then you had the Punic Wars. Potential jump here onto Leave. You probably shouldn't be walking up there, buddy. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff which changed around the Peloponnese, around, like, I think technically the geometric era, because it was basically known as quote-unquote a Greek dark age, which isn't quite true. They just didn't record history as well at that point, which is why we know less about it. And, you know, there was definitely the Bronze Age collapse, where you had, like, a bunch of different disasters happening at the same time, which led to, you know, a great loss of people. And, like, hang on, Harry's getting really destroyed by the OB passive there. ZDZ still has his ultimate, by the way. Ultimate first cast, but ZDZ puts on the flame spitter first, so he just burns it while he sees seed. I don't think the equalizer will kill him. Lee Sin's coming up. If he hits a Q, he will kill here. Can he ward hop forwards, look for a kill? No. Well, he does, but he finds the wrong direction there. Minoans were around before the Mycenaeans? Yes, they were. Although I think at that point, I'm not really sure if they're... Because I know that a lot of things get conflated with a lot of, like, Peloponnese and, like, Ionian kind of island culture and stuff. But I thought that Minoans were distinct from my memory. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm really... That's a bit of a blind spot for me, despite... You know, I'm a big fan of, like, more archaic history from Greek Macedonian kind of era. So I've watched a huge documentary on the Wars of the Diadochi recently. Basically the successor kingdoms to Alexander. Alright, well, League of Legends is still happening. Dragon started by OMG, first one went to EDG. Still have 1,000 gold lead. We'll say, I mean, the Lee Sin has not got as much done as I think they would have done. ZDZ's having a fun time. He's got a huge amount of gold from beating Harry in that last trade. Allowed him to go in towards this turret, get a couple of plates, get a good amount of CS up as well. Hubris on pro. Yeah, I mean, Jin has done a bit of this. Basically, when you... I mean, he's gone for the fleet footwork, but in a game as squishy as this, Hubris can get some huge value. It's the flash for the ultimate. He's going to ult away to safety. Not bad there, actually, from High Chat, but it does take all of his summoners to do that. And Vision, thank you so much for the follow as well. What have you envisioned today? I'm envisaging a 2-game second series of AL, probably butchering WE, despite the failings that AL have had. Rod of Ages coming in for Angel at some points. ZDZ going down as the matchup, which he has been really getting the most of. Has the first strike, by the way, getting the most out of this so far. I'm such a hater of Taliyah in this draft. The thing about Taliyah is that you do have great anti-mobility against the Onivia, and if Nautilus ever hooks and you get the E down before the hook completes, he drags himself across and then just gets insta-killed. So you have a bunch of value against the Lee Sin Nautilus, and you're meant to be someone that can quite quickly go to the plate. Also worth noting as well, Taliyah had a buff to her Q, where she has more 5 base damage per hit, which is really big, actually. It's a big buff for Taliyah, both for laning phase and for late game team fights as well. And also, Haichao's just a comfort player of it. He just likes the champion. He's not a bad player of it. We've seen some good games of him before, of course. For those of you that don't know Haichao, Haichao had a bit of a torrid time last year on LNG when they were the worst team in the LPL. Well, they weren't quite the worst team, but they were definitely up there. So he ended up hitting the W, but... of course, Leave hasn't got himself any kills or assists since getting the Hubris, so it hasn't stacked up yet. But if he does get the first one, the AD will start to come through for the second. Lee Sin on the off angle. Smite comes through. Herald picks up EDG. Well, this is what I like to call Safari League of Legends. If you look to your left, you'll see a Herald being summoned. ReZero going in for the Cyclone. Flash for that. Not. Huh. Yeah, but basically Safari League of Legends is going to watch the wildlife, but not actually interacting with it. So EDG, no, they've gone down to the local watering hole. They see the wonderful wildlife of, wow, the lesser spotted Herald. And yeah, they don't exactly interact with it, which is exactly what you should do on Safari. Don't do that, you know. But yeah, the best there, Angel. Ooh, hang on, he's gonna get the stun onto Haichao. Can they get Lee Sin in here? The walls, the rocks are still down. The Encore coming through, and the arrow lands after Xiaohao full CC'd under turret. A flick back as well. Haichao, Photic, and Moham outplay in technically a cross-map 3v2 onto EDG's mid-jungle. Xiaohao's Lee Sin outplayed there. They thought they could one-shot, but just not the case. Didn't track through. Now they see the buffs that, yeah, they basically say, oh, yeah, by the way, we've reverted the nerf that was on an earlier patch. He's got 5 more damage at each rank. Oops. Oh, God, EDG. I think that they felt they needed to make a play there, and they just weren't tracking the team. The Ash Arrow was good, landed onto, and I mean, not that it would have changed much onto that, but I guess Photic and assist is what it does. It would have hit Angel if he was, you know, a little higher as well, but it was the Encore, the real savior there. Haichao, of course, the beneficiary of that. On second thoughts, let us not go to Nirvana. It is a silly place. And funnily enough, I need to keep playing Legends of the Round Table. I need to play Legends of the Round Table because Sam and Monty have been playing through it, and they're kind of like, you know, they're well educated on Arthurian legend, whereas I'm only someone that grew up in the culture of which has been influenced by Arthurian stories, right? Growing up British. That game is really interesting. It's really interesting. I'm probably not going to play it on stream just because I'm not sure many people will watch it, and I want to keep my average stream viewers high for sponsor reasons, basically. But I want people to know that it's fun. Dragon up in 20 seconds now. Phantom Dancer for Leave second. What is happening with this Jhin build? Okay, folks, for those of you that don't know, Leave is the bot lane scientist. If you're going to see some weird builds like Essence Reaver, Shadow Flame, Kai'Sa, or something like that, this is the guy that's going to do something like that. Hubris, I've seen on Jhin before. Hubris into Phantom Dancer, that one I haven't. When it gives him the extra movement speed, the attack speed, of course, gives him some ramping stats as well. Teleport now coming in from the Rumble. Now, we haven't seen ZDZ in a big team fight yet. So while OMG looked really good in that, you know, play under the turret, if this equalizer is good, I'm pretty sure that EDG just blast this anyway. The wall meant to separate the team. Not the most impactful, perhaps a little too early on the trigger pull. No flash from the Wukong, did use it last play. The arrow goes onto the Nautilus. The equalizer's pretty damn good though. Hits onto 2, destroys the jungler. Wall coming through to force the flash out of the Ambessa. Lee Sin flies in and slaughters the first target. There you go, a kick to the face. The 4th shot very nearly killing another 2. The Flame Spitter's on, and I think the HP bar goes down here. Harry goes down. It's a good double shove, though. Not bad. Maybe another kill back as well. Can't quite get the Qs on target. CDC body blocking, and it'll be a double kill over. Burn will take another one from, I believe, the Deathfire touch. Not bad there from Haichao. Does a lot of heavy lifting. It ends up being a 4 for 2 in favor of EDG, who also take the dragon. Well, that was a a bunch of very quick burst combos in a row. Now, Dway ended up getting the hook, which allowed the equalizer to hit both Moham. I think it was both Moham and ReZero in the front line. The Cyclone just didn't get value because of that. And when you trade a mid-game Wukong for a Nautilus, you are happy as the Nautilus. So we'll watch this again. The Talirot's been used. Arrow lands onto Dway. He McHales himself. Encore goes through, but everything's used onto the Nautilus. No, he doesn't care about that. Harry jumps into the backline, but he's got no follow-up. The rocks get put down, but doesn't feel very valuable. It's like the song Roxanne, but only rocks. Rocks. Jhin ultimate kind of goes crazy. Flash forward for the Flame Spitter, also hurting like hell. This is where things get messy. You could have just taken the 2 for... Well, no, actually, no. They do end up winning through this again. It's a very good double shove. And Haichao's playing well. I don't think you can blame Haichao for this series or for this game. I think Haichao has been, by and large, best player for OMG across all 3 games so far. Leave is now 3-0, and that's a problem. Because Leave picked up so many kills, the Hubris is actually starting to get some huge value. Baron now started. Hang on a second. Do they spot this at all? Now, you do have teleports coming in. Well, teleports there for EDG. Do they spot this at all? This could be a bit of a slow take, but if they can force out some teleport, I don't think they calculate that well at all. Now, they did see potentially that Rumble was heading over. I think they just didn't think... I don't think they could tank that. I think that they misjudged how quickly they could do that. Now, ReZero has to recall. I guess there was nothing else on the map for him to be doing. Well, no, bot camps were up. A little bit dangerous there, actually. He was very low HP. Onivia is so behind. I would more say it's that Haichao is ahead. I actually don't think Angel is behind. He's a, comparative to Haichao, yes. But remember that Haichao got the double kill under the bot lane turrets. Not to mention just what happened in the play in that last team fight as well. But really that bot lane dive, which went poorly onto Haichao, is what ended up putting him ahead. Every time I see a Malphite ult, I can only think of the chorus of Roxanne, but it's just rocks. Yeah. I like that style of video. It's, absurdist humor. Well, not absurd. No, that's not absurdist. That's just, it's not weird core either. I don't know what it counts as. You know what style of video I'm also a fan of? Like 30 minutes of silence, but it's occasionally interrupted by Cricketune. So just every so often you just hear... Except the problem was, I was playing... I was playing that in the background while I was streaming something to my partner. And we were watching Cowboy Bebop. And it was towards the end, like where there's some really dramatic deaths and stuff. And it had gone on to like 30 minutes of silence. I'd let it autoplay. And it went on to 30 minutes of silence, but it's occasionally interrupted by Waluigi saying, wah! So someone gets shot and it's just, wah! As they're like falling to the ground. Perfect timing. Top 10 unintentional timing moments. Wonderful. Phantom Dancer on Jhin. Why? I mean, it's a bunch of attack speeds. If you think you're going to be hitting people anyway, technically it's better stats, I guess. And the move speed is really nice. So it basically means that Jhin is hyper mobile with the crits, the fleet footwork, and then the extra move speed from Phantom Dancer. Nymaera is a 10 hours of metal pipe falling over sound enjoyer. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna say no, but no, metal pipe sound less so, but like random Pokemon cries and stuff, I find that slightly more comedic. No, Dragon's up in 20 seconds. That's actually way more important here. Reminder, OMG, they lose this game, they are out for the rest of the year, pretty much. They'll have one more series versus Ultra Prime, and then OMG will not see play in the LPL for the rest of the year. They will not play in Split 3. They'll have to wait until Demacia Cup. If they're still around for that, of course, OMG. Now, when a team is in this kind of position, you do wonder what they drop from the league entirely. Flash forward, not bad onto Angel, but the McHales is great. Great McHales from Dre. That helps Angel survive. Flash ultimate I used from ReZero. That's really important. That's a huge tool. ReZero has been trying to look for these snap engages, but it just hasn't worked out. Not been landing the knockout blow quite well enough. Xiaohao on the flank. Investor and Lee Sin will look at each other. Xiaohao will fly over the wall. And I just wonder if OMG just have to give away now. No flash. Good wall to stop him from getting closer towards the objective. They'll trade it for the mid lane outer turret. At least most of it. The equalizer's there. Not bad damage, I suppose, but it's more there for the wave clear. Doubly missing from the Jhin. Shadow Flame on ZDZ, by the way, not going towards the Bloodletter's Curse. Despite the fact there's, you know, 2 Merc Treads on the other side. It's not heavy magic resist from OMG. Realize that actually flat pen is probably more useful here, actually. Leave is so strong with this Infinity Edge third as well, of course. I'll get into the point where Jin just kind of starts going into, like, critical mass. Feels a little bit like old Caitlyn, where at 1 item you're really strong. Mid-game you can... Well, it's not as much as a trough, right? Where it used to be... Caitlyn was really, really good at first back and when you buy a BF sword. And then it really kind of struggles until you get to like 3 items really on Caitlyn. It used to be at that point. 10 hours of silence occasionally interrupted by JDG Jyo guy. Yeah. 10-hour Aria ASMR enjoy. Look, I'm not gonna lie, ASMR stuff just it doesn't hit my brain right. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm not an ASMR enjoyer. I'm not. 10 hours of silence occasionally interrupted by my League of Legends coach trying to tell me to get my shit together. What do you mean you missed another charm? So EDG have 3 dragons. Gold is bang on even. Now we start to see, you know, the real team fighting prowess, I suppose, of both sides. I'm just worried that this Rumble will get 1 good equalizer and the game's just over, no? On the other side, I suppose an Encore can do similar. Haichao's pretty strong with Rylai's Death Cap. Again, this game and this series is not on Haichao. It's not. Hey, Lion Man, good to see you. Thing is, like, my background listening is mainly... I watch a lot of Northern Lion. I watch a lot of Co-Carnage. I watch a lot of Halo speedrunners, so I watch Mr. Monopoly, Sloth, and Zoo. Hang on, that's a flash away from a hook in mid lane. I watch a lot of, like... military and cultural history videos now from like Kings and Generals, very good channel, because they talk about a lot of different kind of like eras of history in quite a robust way. It's very interesting. Like I said, I've been learning a lot about Greek society around the kind of 1100 mark up until what I guess 300 BC, around that point. Well, there's no flash on Photic now, so now if Xiaohao gets to him, could be a good kick angle. I'll spot that out. Historia Civilis, I think I've seen that. The problem is there are a lot of those channels which now use a lot of AI slop for like illustrations and stuff, and I don't support that, you know. Like I just, you know. So stuff like History March started using a lot of AI imagery, and I'm like, just hang on a second, that's the Encore, forces them to Kale's out, ReZero. Hang on a second, you've just used everything there. He has no flash, ReZero, buddy, I'm not sure about that one. Stuck in the Glacial Storm, he's gone way too far. Monkey see, monkey down. Well, that's why you save summon to go backwards. Use everything going forwards, his Warrior Trickster and his E, and didn't have a way out. What did he just do, man? Just left to burn. Oh yeah, there's the History Speedrun channel is Summoning Salt. Summoning Salt is the GOAT. Yeah, love them. That's how I got into Halo 2 speedrunning, actually. Potential jump at this Baron, but you don't have a smite. Haichao's going to try and wall them off. Can he get the shove? He gets one onto leave. It's not bad, but I don't think it's enough. Haichao goes forwards. A kick onto Photic. Flash down. Ash down. Baron is still leashed. They don't manage to... They don't peel off of it. They still manage to get the kill and keep the Baron ticking down at the same time. EDG clean play. That'll last them into the dragon and their soul later on. But yes, Summoning Salt is like the speedrun history world record channel. Fantastic. Yeah, I agree, Nicola. I agree. There are some other people that do world record histories though. And also I'm quite a big fan of like people who do like the bug hunting videos. So there was stuff like the history of the, oh god, barrier clip or whatever it is from Wind Waker, which is one of the biggest glitch finds in speedrunning history. That was really, really cool. I watched a video actually on the bug hunting for Dead Space's movement tech as well. That was really fun, about the world record history, about how basically someone found that switching to a secondary fire button switch. Yeah, there's some wave stuff we can do with that. Oh, gee, thank you so much for the sub there, Arky. we do get ourselves into what should be a game-ending fight. It would be Soul for EDG. There is a flash on Cyclone Wukong now. Is that going to be enough? Hai Chao, hang on a second. Jue has to pull the ult defensively. That's not looking great for him. The equalizer's okay, but Jue goes down. Fourth shot. Loaded up, ready, ReZero going through, it goes onto the clone. Encore's not bad, this is looking okay for OMG. The Rumble is down, Xiaohao's alive, flies over the rocks into his death, into the shallow grave. Ultimate from Ambessa goes wide. EDG do not get the dragon, they do not win the fight. OMG, this is a lifeline. Oh my gosh. Well, I suppose more topically, oh my god. They get a turret. They get the dragon. EDG, not the easy team fight they were looking for. Enough threat on the flank from the Ambassador to stop EDG's follow-up. The fourth shot wasn't really... Well, I mean, the ultimate, rather, from the Jin. Not as threatening as they would have liked it to be. And the equalizer, while it was onto 3 people... Dre tries to hook him off the wall. That's what he tries to do. The equalizer, just... I don't feel like it does enough. It only tags onto Haicho at the very end there. I wonder whether the equalizer had to be saved. I'm not sure that was the point. I think he had to be more patient with that. Angel ends up getting kind of zoned out of the fight by Harry too. Real shout out to Harry. That Ambassador stopped the Jin and the Onivia really getting involved in that fight in the ways that they wanted to. There is an LDR on leave now who is incredibly strong with 75% crits. Behind all the crazy armor. And in fact, he actually just picks up a Noon Quiver, so he's now on, what, 95% crit now? Almost at that 100, but effectively 100% crit. I don't get why at least went in at the end here. His cooldowns were down. His cooldowns were down. I think at that point he was dead anyway. I think he'd already used his W before that point. The rocks were down already, though. I think that was just basically like a screw it, I gotta die anyway. In fact, there's actually an argument to say die quicker so you can respawn quicker. There's an argument. I think at that point, I think with Dragon on that HP, it wasn't going down at the point they need. This is getting really tense now, folks. This is getting really tense because remember, OMG's season is on the line here. They need to win every single game from this point. If they lose this, they are not playing for 7 months of the year. Their year ends in May. Much like it did last year. OMG would be the first team, sadly, in LPL history to miss split 3 of 2 years in a row. We don't know how long this format will last, of course, but... yeah, it's scary, isn't it? It's scary for them. Angel does have flash, didn't want to have to blow it there. It's gone for the Leandries, by the way, so he's gone for the higher damage Onivia build. Once upon a time, Onivia was the Leandries builder, and then we just kind of stopped building it for a while. I do think that the Leandries is so important to this champion in a lot of different metas. I think this item is just so good on him. I'm surprised that it got dropped. Wait, what else do I watch in terms of background YouTube noise? Well, I watch a lot of streams, right? I watch some of my league friends stream. But mainly, yeah, I watch a lot of, like, speedrunning videos, some random history videos. This one I've only picked up recently, but, like, you know, like, the really, like, disastrous cave diving and tunneling kind of incidents? I've seen some channels do that, and I've watched a couple of those videos. I don't know. Like, I just saw some of the memes about it, and I thought, well, maybe I'll actually watch some of the real videos. And some of them were fairly insane. Oh, I used to watch a lot of Veritasium as well. Although, to be honest, I'm kind of mainly there for the main guy, and I know he stepped back quite a lot. I've been enjoying Veritasium a little bit less since then, sadly. But Veritasium's great. A great channel. Kind of breaks down a lot of very cool scientific stuff into very understandable concepts. Dragon now in a minute. Feels like we are just fighting around Dragon timers. Now, this is one of the issues with League of Legends ever since we got kind of stacking dragons. Really since probably 2020. 2019 we saw a lot of this too. Because dragons became so important, we play around dragon timers. And now Jamada made a tweet about this like half a year to a year ago, where he's talking about how League has just become put stuff on the map and we have to fight around infinite objectives for forever. And that's just the game of League of Legends now. We just fight around the new shiny objective on the map. And to me that has ruined a lot of the dueling and I mean, I understand why it's been done. I do, because you want to see these big team fights. You want to force teams to fight so they don't just keep the game going for forever. But we've lost the power of dueling. We've lost the power of split pushing somewhere along the way. D&D, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars lore, and One Piece related long-form content is my go-to. I used to watch a lot of D&D stuff, although I prefer playing it than watching it now. I did watch most of Campaign 2 for Crit Roll. Shadow on the flank, spotted out by Control Ward there. Dragon in 10 seconds, EDG looking for the soul. OMG looking to replicate what happened last fight. ReZero, of course, only flashed at that last dragon, so his flash is back up. W missing there. Jhin is really strong here. He has the 100% crit, has Hex Optics for the extra damage increase. Typically an early game item, but I guess he just wanted the cheap 100% crit spike. Haichao on one flank, and look at Harry here again. If he ends up getting within ult range of Angel, it's a big difference. EDC not going to trade onto him now. I need to see a better equalizer from ZDC as well. That's not good! That's a double bop over the wall! Angel ends up flashing. Can he be forced down to the egg? The damage isn't good, though, onto Harry. Harry goes low. Harry goes down. The egg has been brought out. The Encore only hits onto one. It's a messy fight. Haichao gets a kick back, and Angel does die, but his counterpart is dead too. Leave goes for a double. We'll get the GA out, and the Mountain Soul is claimed. EDG through a messy team fight with a triple kill. Takes the head off. Is it going to be the Jhin Quadra? No, it'll just end up at the triple. EDG clutch it out. Angel, the only death for EDG. Haichao kicked into the team by Xiaohao, despite the fact that Angel got double bopped over the wall by the Talia ultimate. They can't see it through. Harry, it's a poor last fight from him, and OMG, sadly, will be going out as bottom 2 from Group Nirvana. With this series loss and this game loss, they will no longer be able to escape bottom 2 and will be eliminated from Split 3 of LPL 2026. Their year will end in May, just like it did in 2025. Out of the last 24 months of play from 2026 and 2025, they will be missing 14 months of LPL play. For them, just having a little bit of, you know, belief that they could go a little further, not just be whipping boys really within the playoffs. Gonna go onto the Rift. Let's get this Dryas rolling.
Early invade already. Flandre has done what he's been doing a little bit of late, which is join Tarzan at that level 1 and help with things like the invades, either proactive or reactively. Does allow a quick Winds of War onto the Raptor camp, and it's looking like a bit of a pseudo-split map hit. I expect Trundle will take blue and then look at the Neferi's Raptors.
Well, we'll see, right? Because the early bot lane push has come through. We might have seen... Well, okay, it's not going to happen here, but we've seen this happen. This happened in JDG. Monkey's going to flash over to avoid vision here, so they don't have full info on where the Trundle is going. But to be honest, they should guess that he's in their bot side. He's just going red, not Raptors right now, because Trundle's better at the single target clear. Neferi's doing a full top side clear. Trundle's still unseen for now.
He, of course, has burned his flash to make this happen, but theoretically is behind the Ezreal and Seraphine, who are not going to enjoy interacting with the pillar early on. And in fact, might just look for a level 2 gank here. He's going to try and get level 3 off the Krugs instead.
He doesn't have pillar, so he can't go for the gank, really. And without that flash, he can't do much. If he gets this camp, he'll get level 3. Then he can look for it. Because you can go for the Trundle Bard kind of stun combo, build your own world stun combo. They don't have vision on this amp. They still don't know exactly where he is. He could come behind them right now.
Neferi's reset, so it's on this bot side of the map, but it's going to be 20 seconds off probably. They're going to find out now as the Frozen Domain comes on down. Out comes the Chomp and the Bonk, and the heal is burned from Kyle, but nothing else. Actually, Monkey now potentially in a spot of bottom. You can see the pings from Tarzan saying, right, I've got the advantage here. I can look to invade, potentially.
Yeah, so he's going to be 1 camp up as Tarzan because he ended up getting 3 camps from top side. Monkey only got the 2 from bot side, so he's a camp behind. Now, if Tarzan can end up translating this into a double scuttle, that's when it starts to really take over. Something like the Neferi only really feels good when she's very far ahead in terms of camps. She's not going for the double scuttle currently. She's actually wondering, is Tarzan to see if he can go into that bot side jungle. Has gone for the Conqueror, by the way, and none of this death by touch
malarkey. See what boots he goes, though. Potential of going for something like those Gluttonous Greaves. Tarzan's going to go towards bot scuttle. We shall see how quickly he can get that, and if he can get to top side for a double.
A couple notes as well. We see Cube has gone first strike, not DFT on the Rumble, because again, just wants to get as much gold out of the laning phase versus the Galio, kind of aware he's not going to win that one necessarily with DFT, so just getting more value from just hitting people with Electro Harpoons, and you will largely outrange the Galio. Worth also noting that Annie's gone DFT rather than something like an Electrocute, which has often been her go-to.
Yeah, the Deathfire Touch has been coming up more and more, particularly against the Akali. It's nice because you get a good DOT to help see her in the Shroud, because you can see that there. Don't go for the double Q here. Tarzan needs to save the next caster, the E. Q's coming off cooldown soon. Might have a smite fight over this.
There'll be a smite fight. Q comes out. Second Q will be short. Can look for that smite fight. It's won by Monkey. That gives them that camp advantage, or the level advantage right now. But of course, Tarzan has picked up the double scuttle. Will have his entire blue quadrant to clear still. See what he decides to do with this. I'm assuming it'll be Wolves, Gromp, then Blue, and wait for the respawn on things like his Raptors.
Yeah, he wants his regular camps down a little early because now if you can get your regular camps down earlier, of course they have a quicker respawn timer, so they're quicker up than the buffs, which have a longer spawn timer between them. Bot lane's going fine for Hope, about as fairly even there too. I don't think either bot lane really cares for this too much. One of the things that we noted from Anyone's Legend versus JDG in their series was Kyle picking up stuff like the Onivia for laning priority, but not really having as much impact, or rather the champion doesn't work as well on the roam. And I do wonder whether you get into a Seraphine versus Bard angle, whether that could be a factor which WE could play into too, just saying, look, actually realistically Bard is just a better roaming champion. You can get some value out of them moving across the map. There's a comment in chat from Prediction over in Onivia too, saying, where's the engage from WE? If you're roaming around with a Bard, you can snowball before that becomes a bit of an issue. Of course, the Bard becomes a big part of that later with the Tempered Fate. Bit hard to land that, though, onto an Ezreal with the E and then the Nefiri with the W, but a little limited. So realistically, it means that you kind of have to skirmish because you don't have the engage outside of that.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of pick with the Pillar and the Cosmic Binding, as Al called out the Tempered Fate. And again, speed up from Sivir, Frozen Domain, Equalizer, target access from Akali. You can get to people, but I think in the 5v5s, you're absolutely right, not the simplest. All the while, though, I think AL, realistically, have got their own tools to kind of disengage that somewhat. Encore, Galio up with the Hero's Entrance. Not exactly the most fun to dive into, and then the Ezreal and the Nefiri are quite slippery in and of their own right. Diving into an Annie with stun up is also a risky business, especially if she gets to a beast elite. And speaking of, lands that Incinerate into Tibbers combo, which is a bit of a disgusting one.
Yeah. This is the kind of game where I can see a Sivir ricocheting to victory. If you get 3 items Sivir, you don't need to build an LDR early this game. You go for, like 3 basic crit items instead. Might have a fight with this bot skull. This would be level 6. Monkey pulls the pillar. E out from Tarzan, not the most valuable. Kyle quite low here. There's the magical journey.
And as a result, Hope stays where he is. Karras is already at a third here. He's going to have absolutely no fun. Has to flash out. There's the Shuriken flip away as well. So that's just going to be a scuttle fight over to Anyone's Legend, as Karras ended up in a really awkward position.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle did have to flash as well. With a good magical journey, but Karras had flash. He got flash stunned, nearly died for that. W missing that scuttle take is a big loss for them. I think it was Tarzan that took it, but he doesn't have enough XP from his other camps to have gotten to level 6. He just gets it off off the wave there, as you were saying. Good ward there, very deep from Flandre. He's put that in actually. Karras now has the ultimate. Might look for a bit of a cheeky play on Tarzan. Has the electrocute, not the Conqueror. Well, not that I can't really ever go as Conqueror anymore, but what's the electrocute onto Tarzan. Monkey going over to defend his Raptors. On the whole, Monkey not lost out as much as I thought he would do, actually, despite the fact that he is still behind in camps, as we've noticed. It could have been a lot worse for him. And I mean, just look at what happened to Junja the other day when Junja actually went to contest him, lost the contest, and then he was behind double CS for the entire game. It was one of the best jungle performances I've ever seen from pure farm.
The one again. Tarzan theoretically could go for an invade here. There's a couple wards behind the Trundles. They know exactly where they are. Flandre went in and put down one on the Krogs, one just behind the red buff in form of the control ward. So just really good information on what this Trundle wants to be doing. And as long as the Trundle's on vision, again, the amount of like proactive moves that WE can make with this composition, somewhat limited, it must be said. I need the Bard and the Akali to drop off vision, really, at that point.
Yeah, and that means that these kind of jungle... because one of the other things about invading jungle meta like this is that the vision tends to go with it. If you win the invades, you tend to win the vision too. A lot of the game right now is laning phase to help your jungle support, and then it's your jungle support doing good things to get ahead on the map from that. So much of the game, once again, comes down to that jungle support course. I think, unlike some years past where it felt like mid lane couldn't really lane, like, so 2022, felt like mid lane was just everyone's in your lane from jungle and support. So really, you don't get to lane. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think there are matchups that you can really abuse there. Now, you still can throw 3 people mid lane. We saw that from against Anyone's Legend and Top Esports. I think Anyone's Legend, Top Esports, we saw that quite heavily, actually, when Cream got a bit blown out on that Yone matchup versus the Azir. Dragon's going to be traded for Grubs. W take Dragon, Anyone's Legend take the Grubs. But I'm glad it feels like a bit more of a balanced point, because look, jungle was the most important role in League for years. It is a little bit more in balance now.
We have to keep our eye on this top lane, because Tarzan just hop across the wall. The Observer spotted the potential dive angle, but I think with the Equalizer off cooldown, well, it's still on cooldown, but it's just going to be too high HP to make that play work, really.
Hope actually getting a great trade here. Is the spell shield down? No, there it is. Uses it with the Q, and then get the E on target. Of course, spell shield gives you a bit of a heal now, not just mana back. That's the big thing about Civip. She can actually get some healing through that point as well. It's one of the reasons she came back, actually. Meant she had some pseudo sustain in her kit. If you can kind of face tank the correct skill shot, not get hit by too many others.
I think the other thing, obviously, was the big changes to how her R and her W interacted, just able to kind of perma-ricochet at certain levels. Once you get to about level 11, get that second rank of your ultimate, you just begin to cycle through those ricochets really, really rapidly, which gets a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. There was a question chat about why did Tabe leave Anyone's Legend as well? Because they were the best LPL team across the average of 2025. And maybe I'm cynical. Like, JDG have a ton of money.
They do.
JDG have so much money. Like, how no other team in the LPL, I think, could really afford the 23 super roster, right? With Knight 369, Kanavi, Ruler as well at that point too. So it's that would be a part of my guess. Look, Tabe, credit to him, he is very good at assessing his value and realizing how much he can get out of things. He's very successful for it. I mean, Tabe deserves that. This isn't cynical from that level, right? I think that he is very, very good at what he does. And Anyone's Legend, sadly, on the other side of it, they are the ones which come off worst from this, because he made this product in a lot of ways. Now, halfway through 2024, they brought over Shanks and Hope from Team WE. They went halfway through that split. They had Croco and Kyle at that point too, actually. Croco came over, and then they had a different top laner at the time too, but I can't remember for the life of me who was on that roster at that point. Anyway, there was a different roster from that, and they kind of built bit by bit. And then that was in 2024, and then halfway through 2024, of course, they brought in those extra changes, and then in 2025, that's when Tabe ended up hitting this roster, and it just exploded for them. In fact, Tabe might have gone there halfway through 24 as well, because he'd left BLG from that point. He was there in 2023. And then these pieces came together just after that point. In 2025, they of course picked up Flandre, who was on JDG in 24. And they were really helped out by the fact that it was a lane swap meta and Fearless came through, because they had deep champion pools and they were very good at avoiding otherwise quite weak laning phases from Flandre, Hope, and Kyle by very, very good use of lane swap. The problem was, if they played against top esports of that year in a non-lane swap meta, I think they would have got blown out some. I think they would have got completely blasted. Those are the changes to the Voltaic Cycler Sword, and perhaps then we'll go back to what's on screen right now, which is the Voltaic Cycler Sword, which gives you more lethality when you hit someone for that digitized attack, perhaps being used in top lane.
There's that Scorch Claw, but that won't spot you because that's an observer bug. Don't worry about that. We see nothing. They won't be able to find an angle in, though, nonetheless. I will say Tarzan has been quietly farming up well, couple camps up. Can look to potentially look at this Akali mid lane. They also will see that the Raptors are respawning. Bard's coming down, though. We're going to fight over this. Stun onto Karis, who's looking to get involved. Unlikely to find exactly what he was hoping for, and Tarzan just smites the camp away, especially with Monkey over on his walls right now. Fairly easy pickup. It's been a 0-0, 12-minute game, all about how many camps can you pick up on the jungle more than anything else. At this point, Tempered Fate lands.
Not sure there's any follow-up there, and yes, someone just mentioned it was Ala on JDG for a bit as well, and then Xiaoshu in last year at JDG. Oh god, like so many look, folks, last year I think we had like 80 roster moves, so guys, there's been a lot of roster moves. Hard to track all of them. Tarzan trying to fight, but he's kind of stuck here. He's over the wall, uses his W to avoid some damage.
Yeah, it does indeed. Went looking to see whether he could do that, but with Cube roaming over, kind of became a bit of an untenable position, and so Flandre gets himself a turret plate top. Huzzah!
Flundra, 10 CS lead, got himself the first API. I'm alright. By the way, did you see that Galio is getting a change to his ultimate?
I have. Looks fun.
So, the change is that his ultimate will now scale on 100% MR, so he basically gets a bit more tank scaling on his damage as well, which I think, look, I think Galio has been better as an AP champion for a long time, and just giving him, look, I don't think it will stop him going AP. I think that the AP build is still here to stay, and that's a good thing, by the way. I think that AP Galio is a fun champion. I don't think he's got early game scaling, he's very good at the 1 to 2 item mark.
Becomes the legitimate additional
He
bit
does,
of damage
but it's not someone
threat.
that he's not someone that completely takes over the game. But the MR1 utilizes it to play that tank fantasy a little more. Dragon coming up now, so.
Yeah, he does. And again, if you do get that big ticket ult off, the visual satisfaction now comes with a little bit more oomph, which I think there is some real joy in. Fight over this dragon potentially. WE fight their way into the bot side. I don't know why I decided to go with a foit. But there we go. We added the O to the words. Won't really lead to all that much as yeah, suddenly channeling the spirit of Dagda wherever Rob is. Hope he's having a good day.
I was thinking about Punch Up from Dispatch because that's Jap Jack Septiceye.
I forget that's him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good cast. There was a lot of influences on that. They had
Alana Pierce.
Alana Pierce's Karlak, not Karlak, the other one. The one
Malevola?
which is Malevola, one which is basically Karlak. They had Matt Mercer as the big bad of the game. That was a great reveal, by the way.
Travis Willingham was phenomenal.
Yeah, fun thing about that. So the scene where he's revealed, Matt Mercer speaks his first lines, is also in a scene with Talos and Jaffe. So they're in a bar where like some stuff's gone wrong, and they're in a bar, and then basically the barman starts talking crap about gosh, what's the name?
Blonde Blazer.
Blonde Blazer, yeah. And then basically Matt Mercer's character Shroud literally just offs him at the bar and says, "Have some damn respect, she's a real hero." And it's like, what? Hang on, that he just literally just one taps him. Like, okay, right, crazy. So yeah, Matt Mercer has done in Charles and Jaffe, folks.
How dare he? I need to catch up with Critical Role 4 actually a little bit. There's been some need to get up to date with that one. I'm behind on my D&D podcasts.
Brandon Lee Mulligan, great DM, love that guy. Very, very fun DM. And it's also allowed Matt Mercer to be a player in a way which he's never done before.
It's been a while, yeah.
Very low interaction game, and we probably should mention the fact that, you know, WWE don't have that much ability to engage, as said before, right? They're looking at Bard getting off of Vision, but AL have not really fallen prey to that, and the one-temp effect hasn't really led to that much. Monkey has a Triforce, so he can really slaughter this tower. Trundle is one of the best tower takers in the game, even from the jungle role.
Doesn't have the grubs, but does have that ability. We're going to see a collapse topside, but I still think this is first turret. You're absolutely right, because Trundle be trundling, gets to chomp that turret, gets some gold into Cube's back pocket, and actually now Cube is up 1,000 gold.
Now, sometimes we see the Sundered Sky Trundle for being tanky. Sometimes we see the Triforce where you can just like zug the tower and just like bat it down with the club. Just managed to get that. First tower is first towers of the game are traded, but WE 2k up. Who's the lead on? I mean, Cube's got a lot of it. He's really happy with that, Sam.
First strike golden turret plates, I'm assuming.
Yeah, even though early on Flounder was doing fine, he was a little bit up there. And the slower this game goes, the better I feel for WE. Because eventually you're going to get to a point where, yeah, the Neferi's terrifying. But if Sivir gets to 3 items, this is the kind of game where an errant Ricochet takes off a quarter of your HP or whatever.
I do get a little nervous, though, for how easy it's going to be for About to survive some of these plays. Because it's very real world. What happens is Neferi goes in, Sivir spell shields some of it, but then in comes a Galio, in comes an Encore following on top of them, and the Sivir has one flash and a dream to get out of there, and I don't know how easy that's going to be.
Last year, if you told me the game was going slow and it'd be a bit more cerebral about how you approach it, I would have said Anyone's Legend win those 9 times out of 10.
I would too.
They were the best team at going into mid and late game shot calling. I mean, Top Esports were one of the teams that could change that because they had Jackie Love late game insurance. They had
Kanavi
being a player who could really hold his own versus Tarzan individually in a way that very few LPL junglers could at the same time. But I don't have that same belief in them now, Sam. I don't. I think that's one thing which has really been shooketh from me by Anyone's Legend. You know, Tarzan's still a very good player. Hopes on his Ezreal. It's a good champion for him too. But the way that they've approached objectives has always given me heart palpitations, Sam. Now I don't trust them to see through those risky scenarios.
Yeah, they often put down wards quite early, then gave them up and had to retake, which always felt a little bit odd to me. But either way, decent enough position. Tarzan trying to accelerate past Monkey. He's not really managed to get as huge a lead as I think he was hoping for. Blue buff was stolen there by Tarzan at the very least. Had to burn the smite to do it. Over the Gromp we go. Blue buff picked up by Hope, of course, on that. Ezreal, we're fighting over this Gromp. Eviscerate over the wall. About speeds himself up with the ult smite early there from Monkey, and in we go. Looking for the pickup onto About. The W and the flash away should keep Tarzan up. No, just a slight spectator bug. It was just the Eviscerate out makes a bit more sense, I think.
Yeah.
That felt a bit aggressive as a flash.
So we actually had a couple of ultimates traded there, because Monkey and Tarzan both committed those to the play. Minute still Dragon, so this way, with level 11, I actually think with the timing of it, Monkey's ult should be, well, if they delay the Dragon style, it'll come up partway through that fight, I think, which is really important. Not that there's that many people to steal armor from, which is quite important. You can steal the magic resist from the Galio who's going tanky.
Yeah, About also burned his ult and did also lose the barrier and the heal. No real summoners burned from AL, so there's a couple summoners down there. And in
Cool
fairness,
economy, we appreciate that.
there's a little bit to work with on that one. Sivir in particular could have a bit of a rough time,
that's big.
especially if she's been interrupted on her reset here.
That's important. Now, About does have the Gluttonous Greaves for some sustain. We see a lot of AD carries going for this because they don't really want to fit a Bloodthirster into their build, so this allows them to do that in a different way. About is late on the reset now, 10 seconds till Dragon. They've lost mid-prio. Hope a really good recall cancel there. As we said, Hope, very good on the Ezreal comparative to many of us as the champions. Karis, does he get taunted here? He does.
8 seconds on Tarzan's ult. Tarzan won't burn too much more as Monkey does get the pillar down, but again, Hope just got that ability to Arcane Shift. I was going to say Mystic Shift, which is a combination of abilities, which I don't think is quite accurate. Double Control Ward, Tempered Fate out, but Shanks speeds himself up with the Molten Shield. Kyle left a little low. The Equalizer comes on down, and Monkey's going to keep running, but he's not going to find as much as he's looking for. Shanks on the other side, the hero's entrance. Tarzan in the backline gets dragged a fair way away. Shanks finally falls, but Karis had to flash to secure it. Likely goes down to the Adjustments, but no, not quite body blocks away from the Mystic shots. Now Flounder with no mana is in a dangerous position. He's being run at by double carries. Hope still trading, doing a lot of damage himself. Tarzan healing up with the Raptor camp, can look to go towards this mid lane shove. And that's the magical journey, but no one's really joining. Here comes the Herald and a man advantage, but WE burned a lot to get that advantage.
Did, but no one dies from WE. They do end up getting themselves, I suppose, an assist. Hang on, the pillar stops the Herald. That's quite nice, and that'll keep the turret alive. Now, because... Oh, it actually doesn't, because it's still into charge. That's a little bit sad for them. But the turret's still alive. Now, what this means is that we do get Shanks being able to teleport back into the play. He does have that, and now the man advantage is gone.
Does indeed. You burned a lot of flashes, a lot of summoners to make this happen. Shanks down his, Flounder down his as well. Hope left a little low. Does manage to Arcane Shift out of that potential cosmic binding.
Now, it's not been the cleanest set of plays from WE, but they have just about got the better of AL. And what were we saying about AL? You know, the longer this game goes, the least activity, the better it gets for WE. I mean, there wasn't enough threat onto Monkey. This is going to be first Dragon and first blood to WE. A reminder, folks, Anyone's Legend, they need this win for top 4. Now, there's a chance that NIP can actually beat them to the punch there at the final gasp of this split. Take some wins from them, especially with the win that they had, the wins that they've had recently. NIP definitely one of those teams which could potentially really upset.
Slight point of clarification. It is indeed first blood, but it will be second Dragon to WE.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah. Which is...
So first blood and Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever I said, that's what I meant. So we're just gonna pretend I did.
Which is what I assumed you meant, but I was like, I ought to double check it.
Mods just check and chat. Anyone who is talking about, like lying about what I've been saying.
Oh, of course,
It must be smote. Do you mean that I said first Dragon? No, of course not.
Is it upgraded Spike?
Guards.
Guards. Off with their chat heads.
Which comp is 0 damage? I mean, both teams have decent damage, actually. I disagree with that. I think that the problem is the CC. It's a little hard to land. In Karis, typically, something I think that Akali likes that. Might have to hop over the wall. Should be safe here.
Double Dark and Daggers did land. And again, Tarzan, now he's got that Black Cleaver. It can get a little bit more frightening again. Is 4 levels down. So, again, this doggo can do some fairly significant chunking onto poor old Bards.
I think About has gone for a really good build here. Now, typically we see stuff like the Essence Reaver first on the Sivir. He's gone Yuntel IE, and then he's going to go in towards Flickerblade's third. I think that makes so much sense for this game. I think you just want raw damage instead of the armor pen. There's no one going to be stacking armor here in this game, not against double solo lanes. And you have the Trundle if you need one person to get shredded anyway. He is getting fast-tracked towards having an incredibly potent late game, and particularly because it's the Sivir as well. The Ricochet does count as single target damage, so it means that the Omnivamp will take full value from that too, which is, I mean, Omnivamp is coded well. But basically, if you get the AoE from the boot, it's really, really nice for you.
Yeah, worth noting as well, because you're not getting attack speed from your boot as well. The Yuntal gives you the attack speed on hitting a champion. So you still get that attack speed via that item, which feels pretty good on hit. Cubes now, however, being jumped on. The Eviscerate towards the far side, and Cube's going to try and burn down the Dogger, but here comes that Hound's Pursuit, the Winds of War, and Eviscerate forwards. The Darkened Daggers will eventually bleed down that Rumble. Have to flash, doesn't keep himself alive in mid lane. Shanks and Kyle will do enough work to hold that wave.
I think AL needs to be doing stuff like this, Sam. If they're not getting advantages through the Neferi in their split kind of fights, we've seen that the grouped up fights can be really nasty for them. This isn't going to completely equalize the gold, especially with Karis pushing up top lane, but it's nice to get something into Tarzan's pockets, because Sam, if anyone can just randomly assassinate, you know, Mr. President Sivir in the middle of the fight, it is going to be Tarzan with a little bit of help from an Encore or a Shanks engage.
Little crazy that Cube's only 21 gold behind, considering he's down 50 CS here, by the way. That is the power of turret plates and first strike, I'm assuming.
I mean, yes, probably. It's pretty nice because, and one of the great things about First Strike as well, because it gives you percentage damage increase. This is tech which I used to use on Ari in 2023, back when we had Mythic Leandries, when you could build it as a first item. When you went against a lot of tanks, like Galio, for instance, you go First Strike because it also amps your Leandries damage. Because it gives you like the extra percentage damage increase. Leandries' base value and just the max HP burn also benefits from that, because it's one of the big things about runes and certain items is thinking about, you know, does this benefit from AP, or does this benefit my base damages and stuff like that?
Shuriken flip landed onto the dogs. The dog we used to remove the dog that had the Shuriken mark on it, and Karis just has to leave.
Karis used the W for the move speed there too. I mean, this is a pretty strong Akali with the Gunblade and the Shadow Flame too. It's got upgraded Merc to avoid the little CC that is there from anyone's Legend, plus the largely magic damage from the side of anyone's Legend. Even Ezreal doing a decent amount of that. Ezreal also has the Gluttonous Greaves, by the way. And, you know, I did see Jack Spectra, like, really arguing against the Gluttonous Greaves on AD carries recently. But the reason I think it's actually quite good is it means you don't have to build a Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster just doesn't fit cleanly into a lot of different comps. And if you get them early enough, it's still enough healing for you to just stay on the map a bit longer. Here comes Tarzan.
Looks to come on behind onto Ura. In comes that hero's entrance, but the jump away with the magical journey, the Encore's just shy. That was a flash to try and make that happen as well. Ura's still left pretty low. There is still a blast cone to work with, but a lot blown there, and things didn't quite land cleanly for anyone's Legend.
No, that's 3 ultimates used for just the Sivir ultimate. Tarzan's into their jungle. Bard's going to recall and come back out with ultimate available, and of course with a full complement of HP. Monkey's gone for the Spirit Visage, by the way. Not going to be as tanky versus hang on, Shanks might actually go for a crazy flash play there, but is seen on the other side of it. AL choosing to push mid lane now that they don't necessarily have the ultimates to fight.
It's late enough in the game that some of these ults are going to come off cooldown a little faster. Have a second here. We've got Dragon coming up, because I'd love to keep chatting about that Jack Spectre point, because I think it was a really interesting conversation. Yeah. I thought it was well argued by Jack. I saw the thought process at the very least, but Temple Fate does land. The Hound's Pursuit. Ura's going to be left low, but does survive. The Hound's Pursuit keeps Tarzan away from the barbecue. Out comes the Equalizer, though, but Hope into a difficult spot. Cube goes golden, not quite sure whether it was necessary. Flash away from Hope to avoid the Cosmic Binding onto the Raptors, but this Bard does not get far enough away, and Tarzan can follow on through and gets bled out by the Darkened Dagger.
I'm somewhat surprised WWE didn't have the damage to kill Flandre. Hope's going to ult across. I mean, I thought that About was going to 100% kill someone there, but W, I think, flubbed the play a little bit. Of course, caught out a number of times there. I thought he took a long enough time to die that I thought he'd done his job. You can see that About doesn't quite hang on. They're starting Baron. They're giving up Dragon for Baron. This, if they get this, really big. If they don't end up getting a clean 5-man Baron, could be very, very scary for them, though.
Karis gets taunted by that Shield of Durand, and in comes Hope, bringing Karis down about 20%. Baron's just gone. They're not getting here anywhere near in time. Monkey's just around the corner, but can't get down. Over the wall goes anyone's Legend, looking to bring down the Trundle, but the Pillar will disengage. Sole point for WE. They get a mid-turret as well, but the Baron makes things a little bit interesting here.
Yeah, because AL now have a window of time to start pushing the map and trying to get people out of position, getting vision for the next one. Now, if this gold means that Hope can just get to, you know, turbo like farm up towards the 3rd and the 4th item as well, things go kind of crazy. Look, I don't think that Urha plays this that badly. You know, he gets the ult onto the Ezreal, manages to escape Tarzan, Monkey gets burst out, and I guess that Akali just wasn't in the right spot. That's the big thing there. It really is just the fact that Flandre gets to the play earlier. You know, Cube and About turn plays very, very well here. Hope loses his flash. I'm not actually sure they spotted that, actually. It wasn't quite on vision, so he might not have a timer on that summoner. might inform some of the future fights. Pretty close, though, all things said. And remember, folks, this is a 1-11 team versus one of our top 4, we assume, right? I mean, WE, they're actually punching up pretty well here, despite the fact this game has 0 stakes for them.
WE went 0-16 in game score, reminder. They've only just started to come back a little bit from that very dire stat line, but even so, expect AL to be punishing even a slightly improved WE, and that's not really been happening so far. The goal beat's not been super impressive as Flondra gets caught on the wrong side of a pillar. Justice punches straight into Monkey, and he's just dead. Goes golden for a second or two, but does that really change it? The encore is solid, but it doesn't save the life. Shanks will speed his way out of the Tempered Fate with a Molten Shield, but that actually leaves poor old Ura out on the side. He goes down, but now Karis looking to punish himself. The Hound's Pursuit, the perfect execution, part 2 gets a double to the Akali. They bring down Hope as well. Now Kyle's running away, and the Baron's been wasted.
It has been. They managed to catch Bard again, but they're using all their cooldowns onto the Bard, Sam. I think at this point, yeah, he's getting caught out a bit, but he actually doesn't mind if he's buying the full Annie combo and Tarzan's ultimate as well. He goes down, but Karis gets to clean up, and Sam, W should be winning this game now. The Baron is not going to get a good power play. It's already the negative 2,000. Anyone's Legend in this year, specifically this split, despite the 7-5 scoreline, have not necessarily impressed with their compositions and what they have to do when it's not obvious what their team comp has to do. I think that the Galio top hasn't provided as much value as they would have wanted. I don't think they have a clean answer to the Sivir or the Akali. Even here, the Spell Shield comes across well to make sure that Flondra well and truly dies. And this is my worry about Anyone's Legend. And Anyone's Legend, when the answer to the equation is not that simple, don't really know how to problem solve their way out of a mess. Tarzan got a bit of burn onto him there. Again, 20 seconds left of the Baron, and the Baron power play is going to be negative 2,500 gold thereabouts. Anyone's Legend, this is not what they wanted at all, and now we have about heading up to 4 items. He has both summoners almost ready up, and again, the Flash pretty low on that cooldown now. If he gets to 4 items, I don't see how they consistently kill the Sivir.
Yeah, and we've seen AL full send with Tarzan plus the heroic entrance, encore after, but I've yet to see it land convincingly this game.
The Galio.
Well, the Neferi going in, Galio on top, and then that kind of combo they've got baked in. I've just not seen that CC chain land at all.
No, that's true. I think that's probably the way that they can land onto the Sivir. I think the worry now is that you have, because you now have the Mortal Reminder now on about as well. Doesn't even need to go toward the Lord Dom with regards to the HP scale. He has enough damage already. Some anti-heals going to be in there for the heals from Tarzan Q, from bits and pieces as well from the Seraphim. I mean, About will carry this game now. Unless he is immediately taken off the board, poked out well by Hope, he is just going to be Exodia.
Monkey might end up caught a little bit here. He's gone pretty deep by himself, and again, there's not that many people to steal stats from. Flondra will do just fine, though. Justice Punch. Now, Flondra's been split off, and actually, you know what? Subjugate was enough. I take it back. Now the Tempered Fate comes on down, as does the Equalizer. Tarzan left a little bit off the far side. The Encore is good, but where's the damage? Shanks isn't here. Hope's not doing enough. He has to Arcane Shift away, and Monkey just goes, yeah, I'll stand here just fine, thank you.
Now, I thought that Flondra was actually okay in the last week or two, but this Galio has not been it, Sam. I don't think you can walk up to the Trundle like that. The one person which you really want to avoid here is the Galio is the Trundle, because if he manages to get a pillar, block you into a fight with a Subjugate, you die. You just die, and you see that there. He procs the Aftershock, it wears off. The Trundle Subjugate has already been put on him. He goes into basically 0 resist at that point. It is not a healthy position to be in. 30 seconds till Dragon. Flondra will be alive. He does have Flash TP. I suppose the bonus of this scenario is the fact that he didn't blow his summoners down. He will have them available for the bigger fight now. If they win this one, perhaps the sins will be forgiven.
Worth noting, negative 2,700 Baron power play is pretty rough. Karis just about avoiding those Darkened Daggers. You've got 3 items and a bit actually for Tarzan, who's strong enough to point that one out. Worth noting as well, Flondra doesn't have the Zonya's actually picked up an Oblivion Orb here on that reset.
Yeah, and you can see that Hope also has a QSS. Big itemization for him. So he has that Cleanse and the Spell Shield and the Barrier. Tarzan's taken a Gromp, trying to get up to level 17. He does get the extra level out of it. He's currently a little bit far from home. He needs to get himself back towards his team.
Karis still off vision here. This could get a bit dicey. They're going to know now, but it might be too little too late. Shanks in danger. The Hound's Pursuit, but Karis just executes him. In comes the hero's entrance, but Flondra is immediately annihilated afterwards. Iconoclasm as the statues brought down. Perfect execution part 2 into the E. Hope's not got cooldowns, tries to make it work, and Karis says, no, you don't. Flashes to secure it. Triple kill to the mid laner.
Slick stuff from Karis. 6-0 on the Akali. He has been a menace. And Sam, WE, despite having no skin in the game here, no stakes, will be taking at least game 1 versus anyone's legend. They need to win this series to lock top 4. It means so much more to them than it does to WE, but WE don't care.
Absolutely not. The combos don't land. Anyone's legend look a little humbled in this game 1 as WE hold the line, keep it quiet and clean in the early game, and turn up to these fights with the Fed Sivir, the Fed Akali, and they'll find themselves feasting on a game 1 victory.
Anyone's legend composition called into question, and the gameplay a little bit more because of that. Anyone's legend far from paradise they are. 2025 they were on average the best team. Within confidence they get is so good for it. AL would also then be forced into a situation where they maybe don't even get top 4. Let's hear those gyros.
Bios completed. Flandre and Tarzan just having a look at their own blue buffs. Also, Flandre might actually be helping with a leash here. Did this in the first game as well, where he helped on that Raptor invade. Flandre really is wanting to make sure that his jungler gets off to the races.
I think that makes a lot of difference, because look, in a top lane matchup like this, you don't care about individual matchup a crazy amount. It's not game changing, whereas getting the Vi out of early game against the Xin Zhao is. I'm glad that Anyone's Legend are investing a bit more into Tarzan. Tarzan is their best player by quite a long shot, I think. Monkey is walking to the other side of the map, and he's seen doing this. Tarzan won't be able to finish the Gromp in time. Level 2 to level 2. Actually, that gets really close.
Does he have Smite? He does.
That's huge. The only reason he gets to do that is because of the Shen. The only reason he does that. This must have been so well scouted. They knew that Monkey may go for an invade, and Shen walking down stops that from happening. That is huge, Sam.
And again, doesn't smite the blue buff to make sure he has it for the Gromp, which again is really significant.
It is. I mean, I think it would have largely happened the same way either way, because it's the same amount of time to kill it. There's, hang on a second, Shang's getting a really good trade onto it.
The bird is not quite there. Pop your pots, kids. It'll save your life.
18 HP. 18 HP is what that came down to. Karis losing the early trade and what is meant to be a counter matchup. Not quite so easy there. The early levels of the Rise, very scary.
Yes, he was trying to shove really hard to help support Monkey on a potential invade, would be my guess, but didn't see a lot of that early lane because we were understandably looking at jungle. Of course, Monkey, because he took so much time looking for that invade, gives Tarzan license to look at his own blue buff.
This is so awful for Monkey. Went for a matchup that's meant to help out the early invade. He does have Smite again, but he can't steal away the blue buff. So now he's going to be walking over with Kyle again, but the camp's reset. Now, what's happened is Monkey has come out of base, and he's got himself a longsword. So he's actually stronger than Tarzan now. His job is to delay as long as possible. This is going to get just slightly reset again. I don't think he gets here in time unless Earl
Flash could potentially look for the flash follow here. Can get involved with the W and then go on in for becomes that Smite fight. It's won, I think, by Tarzan. That's significant, but Monkey's still here. Their damage is good. The double up comes on forward. Karis dies, and now it's a 3v3 with Monkey left low. Flash from about, just about to keep alive. The Gromp is body blocking. The wind becomes lightning. Gives a bit of healing. Has a 3 talent strike stack. The red buff healing also significant as well. Hope double dashes in. Can't quite get the audacious charge turnaround as about. Doubles up the barrier. Last auto. Red buff. Flash away. And about gets away with the kill. It's 2 for 2 from the early game, but Tarzan's alive and can pick up more camps.
Exactly. Monkey doesn't get the farming time in jungle. It's really close. The smite was early from Monkey, so Tarzan gets the blue buff. He gets to stick around for the Gromp. He gets the bot scuttle. He won't get the top one. I imagine Monkey goes to that. But, you know, we said that WE often walk away with an early game advantage. Not in this game. Certainly not as easily as that game one as well, in terms of, you know, there were no kills until about 13 minutes or so, right? Monkey can go on to his Raptors, but poor Shinzo. It's not been an easy time for him, as WE very nearly find themselves the early game plan, but legitimately Flandre roaming down to help the first camp of Tarzan, giving a leash. We haven't seen jungle leashes be a thing for a long time. They haven't really been a thing. Most junglers will just do it themselves. They've been designed to do so. That leash there speeds up Tarzan's clear, helps him escape the early invade from Monkey, and sets him up for success.
We've been followed by the God of Sunshine, so they're definitely not in Britain. Sunny Kami, just got to drop that follow in there. Thank you very much for coming and joining us. Again, if you do want to help support us, following's a very easy way to help do that. Sama, come on now.
Oh, true. Sorry. This is so sorry. Well, who's to say I'm not just referring to one of my other, you know, godly companions?
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, we did see a little Dawn and Dusk highlight there. I don't know whether someone is in the middle of building it right now.
Yeah, that's because Shen often builds it.
Very
because
true,
what we will see is if you go for the Zombie Scion build, which Broken Blade popularized, you go for Titanic Hydra into the Dusk and Dawn, which means that when you cast your ability, you double apply Titanic Hydra, but then also the reason why Dusk and Dawn is important is that it gives you that heal on hit now. It's a Sheen damage which applies on hits twice, but then also gives you a heal on hit as well with that Sheen. Auto attack means that Shen is actually really, really nasty at keeping in those extended trades.
Yeah, of course, worth noting, Monkey is a bit behind, but to get a couple of assists, whereas Tarzan only got the one. And the other thing is, About came out of that early play with a BF sword.
Oh, God. I mean, if they can walk away with early bot lane advantage, that's kind of crazy. Monkey being behind hurts. W really need him as a frontline. They need him as a disruptive player. They need him as just someone that can hold the line, Captain Kirahi style. Mass Effect and Droids Rise Up. You know, if you save Kirahi, he will kind of like come and visit you and like hold the line in like Mass Effect 3, I think it is as well. Yeah, you can end up saving him, which is kind of cool. I actually didn't realize that in my first 3 playthroughs because I wasn't good at RPGs back then. It took me a while, Sam.
What map is he on?
Mate, he's the Solarian captain from Vermeer, Sam. He's the Vermeer Solarian STG captain. The goat himself. Well, more like Frog, I suppose, but close to it. Anyway, Dragon started here by News Legend.
Tarzan could end up with a Shinzao on top of his head. Unlikely, though, as it seems like Monkey's going to say, look, I just need to get some farm. We're not playing for this dragon anyway. Oh, no, he turned his pathing around.
Yeah, they're actually contesting for it now. They have the vision control. Shanks is heading over. Monkey... I don't think you can contest this. No, I mean, Cube can ult down. Shen can ult into the play, though.
And they're going to try and get towards Bao. He needs to back away. Are now left a little alone here. They're going to try and turn onto Hope, and Shanks needs to think about getting over the wall. About trading well enough, but left a little low. Kyle's going to blaze kick him. Going to get the barrier. Buys a bit of time. Will still fall, though. The problem is in the rest of the play, Flandre's left a little low. Did come on in with his own ultimate, will die. Becomes a 1-for-1.
It does. That's a lot of gold to Shanks, though, Sam. Flandre dies, uses the ultimate. I suppose the Shen ult being down is actually very important, too, in terms of very long cooldowns. Of course, not at the level 11. It has no cooldown reduction yet, so that is just a... That is a dry ultimate, Sam. There is nothing helping that get off cooldown. AL do still walk away with the dragon. WE, still scary in these early game fights. They are looking a little bit more like 2025 WE with Monkey's kind of creativeness on form here. No ultimate yet from the AD carries. If they were here, Bullet Time and Culling would obviously change this a huge amount. It's a good ult coming through from Cube. Very good sign. Ends up getting the damage, I believe, onto all 3 people that he hits onto. Very close to About living. Does take down Hope low. Can't quite get the damage down he needs, though. Does mean, however, that Flandre is left alone. There's a flash away at the end from Kyle.
Yeah, of course, About had the backup of a cozy campfire, and then that blaze kick interrupted what could have been a last auto timing there. I think Hera nabbed a couple little raptors there.
He thought that the next auto attack would come out a little quicker from Monkey. Didn't quite happen, so he ended up hooking the minion just in front of him. A reminder, folks, of the stakes if you've only turned up for partway through the LPL day. First off, good day to you. Hope you're doing well. Drop a like, follow, subscribe if you're enjoying yourselves. What you're watching here is Anyone's Legend. If they win this series, locking top 4. W, they have nothing to play for in terms of stakes. They are locked into 8th place in Ascend, last place out of our upper group. However, if they win this series against a top 4 team, it gives them confidence. It gives them a lot of confidence. WE and AL still 2 series left to play in this split, this being the first of them. And Anyone's Legend lost the first game. Their drafts have not been very good. I think that changing to Coach Big Way has not been perhaps the change which they would have wanted. Perhaps. I think that W on the other side is starting to get a bit more of that creativity back through Monkey. And actually About has been playing remarkably well on the Misfortune here this game too, despite the pressure put onto him.
Sticks around to pick up that cannon minion. Can't really stay around for more. Try and make it rain to get something there, but with Shanks and Tarzan around, About really does need to back away. He's got the flash and a strut. Now is down here as well. They'll have an idea now that ward's being cleaned out. They'll see people over that wall and have an idea about what's going on.
Tarzan going for a grump. I'm internally cringing at a joke from Blade and chat.
I saw that.
WE are the cows in the basement because the stakes have never been lower.
And we don't boo that, we moo that. Boo, boo. Yeah,
you know that? Okay, fun fact for people. I know people didn't redeem it. Cows moo in regional accents.
Huh.
Cows mood differently depending on where they are. The Kyle's on vision there. Hang on, flash over. They have the bullet time.
Damage is decent. Back into the bullet time there with the dredge line. Will just about survive, and that's the flash down and a couple ults as well. Delays the back, gets the ult. Kyle, who just about got their level up there, by the way.
Yeah.
But still, no success.
He did have the level 6, had to use it. It means that it's going to be a bit of a difficult protected. There is a Shen ult. He was off cooldown just after that play. That's why they went for that. They thought that maybe they could look for that while the Shen ult was just down.
I also think that Kyle got the level 6 off the minions down in the lane because he was level 5 at the start of that play.
I like how we had moos in different chats for that, by the way.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thank you for following me on that journey. I appreciate you, folks.
That was good. I like that. Oh god. It's 1:30 AM. They can't all be bangers. No. In fairness, that was a banger because it's also a It's like the inverse of one of my favorite jokes made by Greyheart on cast, which was, it's like an Alistair knocked off by a Cho'Gath Q. The stakes have never been higher.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Oh god. This is what we have, stooped ourselves to, Sam.
It also reminds me of cows with guns.
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
They decide to fight for their freedom because the stakes were so high. Bad cow pun. I still remember that we will fight for bovine freedom and hold our large heads high. We will run free with the buffalo or die. Cows with guns. That tears a lot about our childhood.
It is early 2000s, early YouTube humor.
There you go. If people don't get that, you've heard it here now.
You should watch it. It's only in like 360p. It's not in HD.
Yeah.
It's like that and like Weeble stuff, badger.
Mushroom.
Many times over.
Mushroom.
Sam, 20 seconds till dragon now. Shanks is on vision. Here comes Monkey. Where's the follow-up?
Free Talon Strike comes on down. There will be a Realm Warp. Second knock-up shortly there, but the Realm Warp away. Tarzan gets into the pit, and that dredge line was a little optimistic about gets to back away from a culling and loses a bit of the HP bar, but does have a Vamp Scepter.
I was actually wondering whether Karis would flash Miasma. Didn't do so. Perhaps could have been matched with another flash on the other side. Dragon started by W, Cube working his way down again. Top lane is even, so they're not losing anything there. Flandre can once again ult or teleport into the fight.
We can look for a cease and desist. And
Hang on, here he goes!
Looks over with the warp flash. Q, Shenot follows, and there's a massive ult onto a Valkyrie flash. When the bullet time is nasty as hell, but Flandre still brings down the Snake Lady. Big Titanic procs onto a Valkyrie, trying to get as much damage down as he can, but just can't do it. And AL on butchering this fight. Over the backline goes Monkey, trying to bring down Shanks. Misses the overload, the Talon strikes there. Doing his best to get some CC down, but Cube is now in a 1v3. The decimating smash is decent, but there will still be a shadow dash, and down goes the Titan at the top lane.
Cheers, loads of the cavalry's here. Everyone's legend calling the whole light brigade. Everyone flies in. Vi Shen come in like that cavalry and just unload onto the backline. Double ultimates coming through. Flandre just came out of base, and the Stand United really helps them land the punch. Now, I thought they'd actually ended it here a little bit, Sam, because while they go onto about, they don't kill him. And because of that, it means that the bullet time comes off onto everyone coming forwards. Kyle, I'm chanting on the front line. Big problem here is actually that Karis gets caught as well. If Karis could flash backwards into a good spot, I actually think they can win this fight by killing the front line. Cleanfeed's just having a bit of an issue here, folks. I'm actually just going to go refresh that so we don't have any more issues with that. Apologies on that one. We'll try and give you the best production we can, but Cleanfeed is Cleanfeed. Basically what we get from Huya through this. Anyone's legend, though. Walk away with the dragon and the team fight. Gold's starting to get a little bit scary here for WE now, and Karis, sadly for him, could not really team fight very effectively there.
And the Shen Marine comes on forwards and does provide a nice little secret torpedo into the back line. Get the Vault Breaker into Shadow Dash, into Vault Breaker, into Cease and Desist combo.
Oh, there's psyops Shen in terms of like the military skins, but having like a marine Shen so we can like submarine in would be great.
Yeah, because I think if you do that and then you have, like you've got the Fizz, like the
Omega Squad.
The Omega Squad Fizz, where when you throw Chum the water, you get like the radar thing. Yeah. I want that for Shen's Steadfast Presence.
That'd be great.
No Steadfast Presence, the
Stand United. Because Stand United, yeah.
I think
Twilight Shroud. Spirit's Refuge.
Spirit's Refuge. There we go. Twilight Shroud is.
Hang on, here's the teleport coming topside. Shen's teleporting up to that. Hang on a second, calling a mid lane.
Just managed to get away for now. Be a fair amount of damage to Piercing Light. A couple more autos flashing away. They just don't get the opportunity to run out and about. Just dies in the 1v2 as the extended auto range meant that about could not strut away.
Yeah, Hope, I mean, he died that one time in bot lane, but besides that, he's having a good series today. For a player that's so heavily criticized on anyone's legend, doing very well here. The Lucian Millia getting an unexpected jump around the corner. I think thought the all-in was coming top lane, and that bot lane would be roaming to it, so it'd be safe to push out. Misjudged it, didn't have summoners. Hope ended up getting the kill with the culling. Good play from him. I think basically that was actually a map misread from About rather than a mechanical misplay.
Yeah, I don't know whether we have the strut on cooldown as well, so couldn't sprint away. Does now have the bloodthirst, which should help out a little bit. Ult forwards, actually onto Shanks. He might get hit by that decimating smash, the knockups up there, but Tarzan's now around. This might get a bit spicy. The Vault Breaker lands on down. Remember, if some of these resists start getting shredded, gets a bit spicy. Monkey also on the roam down. Don't know whether Cube needed to flash there, but did so anyway. A little bit afraid of the damage.
He wanted to keep his HP a bit higher. If he can get vision on this, he can W flash, gets the recall cancel. Monkey doesn't have flash. He needs to try and get the W now.
Try and get the knock up. Crescent guards just wide.
If he'd waited half a second longer, walked a bit closer, might have been able to get it. Hadn't marked him just yet, so that's ult down for ult. Bullet time in mid lane.
Shannon comes flying on through alongside that Breath of Light. Will be able to dredge line out to safety for a second or two. The flash away just about keeps him on one piece. Can Tarzan now get in range? No, we can't, but they're going to have to leave this mid-tier 1. They'll back away. Vision dropped.
Yeah, some really good individual power here from anyone's legend. We've often criticized Hope and Kyle. That's kind of like a power duo. Doing quite well here now against About under this mid lane turret. Hope's got a lot of resources early with AL's focus on bot side. And credit to them, they're really getting that control in mid lane. We did say that About actually had he's having a pretty good game on Misfortune. That one mistake in mid lane aside, I still think he actually has done well with the positions he's in. Of course, the early laning phase as well. Surviving that dive and getting the 2 kills back, or not fully surviving it, but getting those 2 kills back was huge for him. Herald to the side of Annual's Legend, that'll really help them open up the map. If they can get down mid lane, sorry, they've already got themselves the mid lane turret, my bad, they've already taken that off that one. But if they can then use that to kind of make a big power play on one of these side lanes, it'll really open up the Rise Shen, start taking over the map with their long-range ultimates joining plays.
Agree with that one. Building towards the Dusk and Dawn is Flandra. Not quite there yet. Of course, a bit of an awkward build path for a lot of champions. Get a lot of components that are only partially good for you.
Yeah. You know, coming out of that last draft, I did say that, you know, I thought AL's draft was a little bit shaky, but credit to them. The early game's gone really well. I think as soon as Tarzan escaped the early jungle pathing and the Xin Zhao couldn't just get in Tarzan's business, that's when the composition came online. So credit to anyone's legend, and they overcame what I thought would be the big sticking point where Monkey could get into the enemy jungle. Dragon now spawning, it'd be third for anyone's legend, threatening a soul later.
Steadfast Presence, I believe, is still on cooldown.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, Stand United is
Stand
the one.
United, yep.
I
No,
keep
I knew
getting
what you meant.
Poppy W is
All good,
in
don't
my
worry.
brain for whatever reason, but the Dragon's going to get started nonetheless. The Herald's getting summoned. Into the bush goes Flandra, unspotted
He has
as of
flash.
yet.
You can go for that taunt flash. Shanks on the flank. Caught out here.
Boy, well, Dragon's picked up, but Ura's now in danger. Cube's going to body bot. The Herald goes through a lot of different people. Crescent guards down. About flashes away. Getting the Shadow Dash to the backline on top of About. The Petrifying Gaze lands onto very few people indeed. And the dive is completed as Tarzan picks up at least a triple here. Flandra lands another Shadow Dash. Will likely get the kill as well. Tarzan misses the Vault Breaker, but Cube is in a 1 versus 5 under this turret. There's nowhere really to go. Actually, I take it back, 1 versus 4. As of course, Shanks did eventually fall. The problem still is, though, for WE, that they've lost a lot of members.
Tank beats Nautilus. Tank beats Cassiopeia. Tank beats Xin Zhao. Sam, Tank beats everything. They ride the Herald into the team, and Tarzan wrecks them with it. I mean, anyone's legend use it as a battle herald. I love this. I love the fact you can just ride it into the backline like that. Shanks comes around on actually a fully expected angle because he's on vision. I don't think they expected it to be seen that early. Initially, I thought this was actually okay because they held the Xin Zhao out to the front line and they managed to reform their battle lines, and then you realize just how strong Tarzan is with Flandra in the backline. That's actually where the damage comes from here. It's actually the front line doing the crazy damage, not the backline.
He just murders both carries and the support, basically solo.
I'm telling
it was
you, man.
kind of wild.
Tank beats everything. Herald gets him into the backline, he does the rest.
Well, now he's got Black Cleaver, Sundered Sky, and just a lot of damage, and he is going to be problematic this game if the Vi continues to be a genuine carry threat, especially with the support of Realm Warps and Stand United. Then we might be having a very difficult conversation about WE, who are going to be in a precarious spot in this game, make no mistake about it. 4,500 gold down. They didn't lose Soul Point, but the turrets are indeed falling wherever you care to look.
Yeah, WE last year, they were, well, particularly last summer, were the game 1 wonders and nothing else, where they, I think 9 times in summer split, 1 game 1 and then lost the back end of the series, which was heartbreak for them. They'd come in with great plans and couldn't see it through for the full game series. And Karis does above 50% for extra damage or under 50% for that healing. I think, you know, if they just managed to get ahead in that jungle role, if they hadn't, you know, fallen prey to that leash from Flandre, speeding up the clear from Tarzan and then Monkey falling behind, I think this game is utterly winnable for them. Yeah. I think it was a very good game plan from WE, but IL found a way to just take the first domino out of the chain, and they've been struggling to unlock that since.
Now this gets a bit interesting. Realm Warp comes flying, Whimper comes lightning, flash out from Cube. There's the Realm Warp forwards. About was looking for a potential bullet time angle, but won't find it. And everyone backs away. Karis gets to stay top lane, but this Cassiopeia really hasn't been much of an impact at all this game.
Yeah, to the point where I wonder whether WE should give up the next Dragon Teleport coming in. That's the side. That's actually a double teleport. Here we go.
Tarzan flashes, cease and desist on top of about the steadfast presence. Sorry, stand united. Again, I get conflated, but it doesn't really matter because no one's standing united. They're falling divided, and Cube gets annihilated as well. There may be no Poppy, but the phrase still stands true.
I think WE got baited in by the fact they had 4 people there that they thought they could defend a flashless Misfortune. You can't. Double teleport, Vi ultimate, massive engage from anyone's legend. Cassiopeia doesn't even teleport. Karis doesn't want to be there, knows it's a lost fight. Shen will kill Shinzo.
Yeah.
He will kill him with the Dusk and Dawn. This is a dead Shinzo.
Yeah, throws down that Spirit's Refuge, and Monkey is left about 10% HP. That is disgusting.
Yeah, he could have flashed to kill him there, Sam. I'm not gonna lie. I think he maybe should have done, in fact. It could have been a free kill and took him off the board. Guess he doesn't want to... he wants to save his flash for the Dragonfire. That's why.
When am I getting you to play Shen so we can do Evelyn Shen?
I prefer playing ranged top laners, Sam.
You could play it mid.
I do not want to play Shen into a mage, because turns out, Sam, that Spirit's Refuge doesn't work on a Victor E, so you die
But invisible
really
submarines.
Badly. Very fun, yes. I'll take it under advisement. I'll write.
Right, convince him, chat.
We'll write to the board. Oh god. Maybe we do it. Maybe we do it in arena. Maybe do it in arena.
Yeah, you could do that.
I mean, it's 3v3 now, so if anyone else wants to join us, we could have like Evelyn, Yumi, Shen.
Oh my god.
We're gonna have like we could have just like the bus comp where just everyone gets into the clown car. Evelyn's the driver. Come on, kids, we're going for a show.
It will be absolute cinema, one way or another.
It will be wonderful. Flandre's taking down mid lane. Turret AL now over 8,000 gold ahead, and WE. Again, the game plan was actually solid. I think they have a good draft. It just fell apart when they couldn't get Monkey into the game, and then the early skirmishes went the way of anyone's legend. Anyone's legend much more aware of what they need to do with this composition than the last one.
Yeah, and again, Tarzan with the go button and the ability to follow it has been very, very potent because no one can disengage this Vi this game. It feels like so damn threatening. And again, with the Baron to their name, they are up a significant amount of gold, massive map priority, and the ability to turn up at the blink of an eye is not making things any easier.
Twitch, Shen, Milio, never killing Twitch. Well, the thing about Arena is that everyone finds a way to somehow kill you despite the fact that you think you're invincible. I got a Jeweled Gauntlet Aurora build with ×3 crit damage, and I had Sword of the Divine, and it was Jeweled Gauntlet, so I ended up critting with my passive for over, I think, 100% max HP.
Oh.
Because on base damage, critting for 3.
Oh.
It was a lot. Anyway, Dragon's going to have to anyone's legend. W don't die here, at least, so they'll take that one away. But yeah, the thing about Arena is that you will eventually get the point where people just always doing more damage than you think, and you will die.
Flandre's a little deep here, but Shadow dashes away. We'll be alright. A little bit of a stutter on this clean feed again. Do apologies, guys.
I'm just gonna have a switch over to the different
server.
Hopefully this will be fine. Anyway, it'll take a couple of seconds to just reload. Hopefully this will be fine. I'll change it back if it's worse, but it's hoping it fixes it.
Looks to be okay for now. Cube just bonks that one. Yeah, I just don't really know what you do as W's in this point.
Yeah, the problem is now is that the Vi Shen will one-shot about by himself. And AL don't have any obligation to all in until they can land a clean ult onto him. It's going to be way too hard for About to live, and I think you need the bullet time. Now, I thought it was fine for the laning phase, but I think as soon as you lose early game with W's comp, which they should have won, with a Shinzo over Vi and the Nautilus Misfortune providing really good early value to help getting that Shinzo into the game too. Especially with, it's meant to be a Cassiopeia winning lane too. And they have the flash at the level 2. The early lanes from WE just didn't do what they were meant to do as described, and it's meant that anyone's legend have escaped that early game and managed to get into a wonderful late game. Massive plays across that jungle. Mid lane rolls particularly.
Flandre's in a very scary spot on this Shen as well. Like you do hit to the point where Shen can just kind of one-shot a lot of people here as well with this Titanic Dusk and Dawn combo, as we've been chatting about. It's fairly disgusting, guys.
Eva, as an Uma player, I need you to help me with something. What ultimate would Alexander the Great have had if he rode into battle? Because he was, I think he would have angling and scheming, because he always rode in at the head of the companion cavalry when went into battle. Also, questions about Genghis Khan as a great, horse spawn leader. There was also Caesar, whose legion got known as the Equites for pretending to have more horses than they had. That might be Behold Thy Emperor's Divine Might. I need help on this stuff.
Tarzan is going to potentially look to Vault Breaker Realm Warp as well.
There we go.
Cease and desist. Out comes the shed out and about.
You can't be there, buddy. I mean, like, what could he do for sure? But, like, you can't be stood there, man. W didn't even want to be there.
Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. That's probably game as well, actually, as you've lost a major tool. They can at least get the inhibitor, see exactly how far AL want to go. They burn a fair number of ults to get to this point, but do they have anything resembling wave clear or damage? I guess they just say, you know what, we're not going to take the risk. We'll back away with the inhibitor.
With no Baron buff, it's quite hard to play with that Hope. He's not going to do that much damage to the first guy. Hook lands into the play, but that might be a bit of a poison chalice.
Does find himself at the wrong end of a lot of damage from the Lucian. He continues to dash on forwards. There is no miasma, so he continues to relentlessly pursue. And there's the Shadow Dash, interrupts the attempted decimating smashes. About is back up and available. Bullet time's thin air. The wave is still there, and AL can keep looking for these turrets.
Well, there you go. Anyone's Legend will even us up to a 3-game series, a much better game. They escape the early game with a lesser seen jungle leash. They get through the early jungle fights, and WE are blown apart by the submarine combo.
Well, they do. A couple more autos come on down. Hope gets that, and they should be able to potentially blow up a few more people. They at least get the Lucian who got pulled onto the fountain laser, but it will mean very little in the grand scheme of things, as 20 kills to 7, 2 of which came from the fountain laser. Anyone's Legend strike back in decisive fashion in game number 2.
So anyway, back to
Like playing against it when I play against it, I'm glad that we've had some variations of the Caitlyn lanes with the Elise. We'll get ourselves into the Gyros. Last game of the day here in LPL. Let's get into the Gyros. Well, there you go, Gyros. And once again, every time, AL love being on blue side for this. They love being blue side because Flandra can walk down and he can cause some issues. Monkey takes some health off of Flandra. Empowered ability coming through. Hang on, whoa, hang on. Cube's stuck enough for the Raptors so they can't get the level 2. That's huge. Cube takes enough for the Raptors to make this a conversation. Flash away from Tarzan and from Flandra. Does Cube flash for it to the skies? He's going to get the form shift movement speed. I think Flandra will get out safe. That is huge. Double flashes down from Tarzan Flandra, but Monkey doesn't gain that much. He does get more HP. I mean, Flandra, he doesn't have teleport. What does Flandra do? Doesn't have himself a teleport because he's gone for the exhaust summoner spell. He's going to have to walk his way back to lane. Anyone's Legend have been doing this on cooldown. Now, if you've watched our stream, you'll have noticed us highlighting this a lot, as Kyle does get the root there. He's got the Battle Academia Lux skin on. She has a great many skins. I say that as an Ahri player, but Lux has more. Monkey actually... Hang on a second. Monkey's going for a topside invade. Now, he's gone for Krugs. He's gone over to the other side of the map. He was spotted, well, not taking red buff. There's a ward on red buff, so they know he's not there. They don't really know where he is, though. They might think he's on bot side, trying to clear away camps before bot lane gets prio. He's on top side, though. Guys, there's actually a chance they dive the Vayne here. If they can get, like, one good trick... Nah, not a full HP. Sorry, no, ignore me. Not a full HP. They need some really good poke before they manage to come in. So that cube has a huge advantage over him. The wave's going to be coming in. Flandra's been using the SKT T1 Vayne from 2013 a lot recently. I've been enjoying his skin choices there. I have no idea how anyone's Legend didn't lose a kill there. It's so low HP, man. He wants to keep up his empowered ability. In fact, he actually just uses it there. Weird, actually. Another binding landing from Kyle. I mean, this is another game in anyone's Legends match history and W's match history, which is all in on early game. E on target there. Does get the Comet. Comet got changed in this patch, for those of you that don't know. Comet does extra damage based on how far it flies to you. Kyle is looking to see if he can cancel the recall, and he should be able to, actually. Will cancel the recall to make sure that the Q doesn't hit him. Tarzan's coming down. He'll hit the plant just to get himself that passive. Going now for bot side camp invades. Monkey did get camps away from top side, so I mean Tarzan needs to get this. Monkey will go towards his wolves. Can't really fight, especially with bot and mid prio against him. Lux is really annoying these early invades too. This is, you know, classic 2023 bot lane shenanigans, which we saw from 23 spring. Was the T1 Guma carrier bot lanes of the Varus supports, the Kalista supports, but also the Lux as well. Because at 2022 Worlds, we had the Heimerdinger bot lane, the Heimerdinger support. Then ranged supports came out to counter Heimerdinger because they outranged his turrets. They wouldn't take any damage there. And then they stuck around for the next split because everyone had learned how to play them. They learned how strong Halo Blades was, how strong Comet was, how strong the early support items were too, with the early AP itemization and the early Bloodsong as well. And that kind of led to a lot of supports getting upskilled in ranged bot lanes. Before that point, no one really played the mage supports. They hadn't been played for years at that point. Saw a little bit of Caitlyn Lux in some years prior, but we had some enchanters, but not really the double ranged kind of damage bot lanes. That's why they came through. A lot of people forget that Caitlyn Lux came back up to the fore because of Heimerdinger's support being so huge at Worlds 22. Of course, Heimerdinger was around at points beforehand. It was played in 2018. Of course, it was the Hyun and Wadid of G2 who played that to great success at that Worlds. Hang on, flash forwards onto Flandre. Does have the exhaust. That's a great trade onto Flandre. Do they have a dive angle now? Feels like a cheap flash to give away. Monkey no flash himself. They want to force Flandre off of the turret. There's a 10 CS lead and a good level advantage there. Q just dashed away from. I mean, About is surviving, but, you know, at what cost, they say. Monkey's not got himself his first recall of the game in yet. By the way, neither is Tarzan. Walking away. Oh, he's just using his empowered ability. That means that Monkey probably wins this trade, by the way. There you go. Gets the electrocute. Because Tarzan didn't have the empowered ability, Monkey will now wait to see if he can get anything more there. Does he get the trap on target? He does. A little bit late. Had leveled up the Q instead, or winded up the Q rather. Smite available from Monkey. Shanks is heading over. Has level 6. Shock Blast goes wide. Perhaps a fated confrontation. Here comes Vayne. Javik on the table. That's a good E. They've got the Chaos Storm. Monkey flashes away. Oh, A2 Victor. A2 Jace. There's going to be both of them potentially going down here. Shanks is high enough HP, though. It's just the Pantheon, the Victor so far. I think Shanks will take the extra one, though. Managed to get the flash predict. Flandre has the lethal tempo, and Karis will go down to a final auto attack. 2 for 1 in favor of anyone's legend in the top side. Jungle, another roots. It's going to be a kill for the bot lane, which has been building up to that for some time. WE, they have tried their best to get ahead of the jungle matchup, but today, anyone's legend have just about got through the early game better off. WE now down over 1,000 gold across the map. That's a huge win for the flash forward for the Q. Flash for flash. If that had hit, presumably would have been a kill with a trap afterwards. No summoners left for her after that one. Caitlyn Lux. Now, one of the things... So, this is a conversation I'd like to have with people. You don't have to play to a lane by ganking it. Sometimes you send all your resources to the other side of the map and just let them have a winning lane. Tarzan flash to try and get onto Monkey. Couldn't quite get there. Condemn into the wall. Jace goes low. And while Karis does get himself a good combo there and gets his W reset, maybe he could have hopped over the wall there. Would it have changed much? Maybe it would have, actually. If Karis had maybe stuck by that wall and W'd over, queued away from the E. I thought I saw the E mark instead on Karis. Good flash there. Now Flandre's back, and they get 2 kills for the Vayne. Flandre's back. $2,500 kills for Flandre. And you see that timer there? That is ever since 2015. 2015 he's been playing since. Now back on Snake all those years ago. Eventually the Chaogu Reapers rather. What a player he's been. You know, back in... No, and the thing is, he actually peaked as a carry top laner a long time before we saw him win Worlds. He peaked as a carry top laner back in, like, what, 2016 to 18? He was crazy. Now, the reason why we didn't see him... I mean, obviously, he didn't make it international, but because it was Koro 1 and, you know, Going and players like that, which were much more like fighter, bruiser top laners and tank players. Amazing J was also in that roster, that kind of set of talents too. Chinese top laners preferred to play tanks and bruisers because EDG won MSI. And that international title gave them a long way to play that. Carry top laners from LPL only really... Hang on a second, Shanks is going to walk straight into Monkey, who is here with a level 6. Gets right on to him. Shanks does have flash. Here comes the ultimate. Had the Pantheon's there, but he's a little bit late. Chaos Storm goes on to Monkey. I think that'll lead to the death of him. 1 for 1. Tarzan picking up the extra gold. Karis picking up his second kill in mid lane. The unseen rock is the deadliest, so they say. But you see rocks everywhere, you say, Alex. Yeah, but it's the unseen one, which is the one that's going to hurt you, isn't it? Ooh, trying to get the splash damage off the Q. One of the laning tips you can use is Jace, by the way, both in mid lane. Actually, it's more important for mid lane because you're against ranged matchups. When you're playing Jace against ranged matchups, you want to just see if they stand so, like, close towards... if they stand close towards a minion, because you can splash damage from the Q, and it means you can catch them from slightly longer range than you would have thought. 3 grabs to the side of Tarzan, killed all of them in one. I think he killed them with an empowered Q, actually, all 3 of them at the same time, which is cool. Significant lead for this point in the game, 1,000 lead before 10 minutes. A lot of that's in bot lane. Tarzan's also doing a good job here too. Monkey, once again, just not quite getting himself into the game in the way that he envisaged from his early game plans. About is going to group up these minions. He's going to... What you do here is you just aggro the minions. You make sure that they are all aggro onto the first minion back out. It means that you can just deny, you know, a little bit extra of the wave as the enemy players on a reset or zoned off from it. Once again, we see a jungler hiding in a brush there. It's going to be Tarzan this time. Does have flash. Hang on. He's used his W. No, it's Kyle, sorry, hangling around there. Can't quite get himself the skill shot on target. Just out of range of the E. Okay, so... sorry, just had to answer a message there or two there. Karis losing the matchup for now in mid lane. No surprise, Victor is a very laning phase dominated champion. Okay, potential teleport coming... Well, there is a teleport coming in down the bot side as well. There's a Pantheon ultimate as the dragon is started. Tarzan using the empowered E to get the move speed to get out of there. They're going to have to pull off for the dragon start, actually. WE, a little too threatening. Now Tarzan at 2/3 HP. Trying to steal it with the ultimate? No, not quite. Monkey has the ultimate. Maybe trying to force some flashes down here. Tarzan will be spotted. Might walk into an electrocute trade. They might try and force out a flash. Tarzan getting a very important stun there. Hang on, that might be going too far. Monkey's actually winning briefly in the 1v2. How's the Zeeks to give him more ultimate cooldown? Tarzan flash stuns there to make sure that his bot lane doesn't get wrecked by that ultimate and have to blow multiple summoners. He saves the flash of Hope and Kyle by doing that. What can they do after this point? Wow, it's very, very low. And the Q actually lands empowered from Tarzan too. Monkey has to blow the ult to escape. Yeah, but he does have the Zeke, so it's... I think the thing is, blowing a flash is more important than blowing a Malphite ult at that point. You know, Tarzan, if he's down that flash and he's out of position, now you get to full send on him. You know, Malphite is one of those champions like Jarvan, which plays around cooldown economy, around flash economy, something which the LPL very much likes to do. Where if you blow ultimates and they blow flashes, the next time your ultimates are up, well, you kill them because they don't have their flash. Something like knobbing out a flash away from the Malphite ult, flash out a Cataclysm makes a big difference. Poke for poke there. Lux is losing out on that one a little bit. Monkey Up here to defend the Jace. Hang on, Flandre wants to go for the full kill. Maybe he can kill the Malphite. He doesn't have himself the ultimate. It's not up just yet. He has the flash, but he has to use it, and he's going to go down anyway. Flandre, instant kill combo. Great play from him as Monkey's ult was mere seconds away from cooldown. Great play from Flandre. Now, a lot of people have penciled in Flandre as this tank-only player. You know, we were saying about him getting his 2,500th kill. He has always been, across history, a carry player who's then transitioned into playing the tanks afterwards. And you can see right here, that Vayne, this split, his Vayne has been great. Not always in the laning phase, but he does judge the angles out of laning phase very, very well. 3-0 now, despite the poor start. Flandre does have a little bit of that dog left in him when it comes to those carries. Not always there, but every so often you'll see a Rumble game, a Vayne game, something like that, which changes your opinion on him again. That's so important. Perhaps we're going to see another kind of player of the series, player of the match game coming out from him. I wish Flandre had played with Doonby at some point. God, if you'd gone back to the early years, because also Doonby was also another player who really peaked. He was very good for a long time, right? But he was good before people knew about him. He was good for years before they could do it. Hang on a second. Flandre's got flash. They go straight onto the Vayne. That is a bit of revenge. Flandre pops out the condemn. I don't think the ultimate will matter. Tarzan comes down towards bot side. There wasn't an exhaust put onto Cube. So Flandre loses the ult and the exhaust. Tarzan flies down for a bit of a frustration W, I suppose. Good kill onto him. Again, cooldown economy. Flash down, ult down, that's when we can all in. This is the kind of game where there's so much damage on the board. You want to be focusing on the people who can't escape at just a 10-second window at times. Very precise levels of play. You know, this is actually probably my biggest misconception, which I'll probably be talking about later, is that a lot of people assume that fighting all the time is bad macro. That is not true. Sometimes fighting all the time is good macro because it's that, that ever, discussed term, or at least it was about 10 years ago, tempo. Playing up and aggressive reduces options that enemies have to play against you, and that is good in its own right. QG Doinby not making it to Worlds was painful. That was like 2015, right? Was that when we had like the really bad IMA roster because the meta fell apart from them? Which is a shame because basically Amazing J was a big tank player and he's had to play like carries for that world. Yeah, bad times. Herald goes down. Flandre alone on the side lane again. Does have the Hex Plate, so his ult is kind of permanently up, really. We tend to see one of two things. Hexplate into Triforce or Hexplate into Essence Reaver. In this kind of game, Essence, I actually think you want the Triforce. I think you want the Triforce just so you have a bit more extra movement speed. Hang on, jumping forwards, flash away. Hope gets away from the play. Monkey has the Zeke's burn on. Doesn't have the flash to escape. The tidal wave is very good disengage, but here comes Flandre. Hexplate on the roll, and the carry of years gone by rediscovers it once again. Urha goes down. Double kill for Karis, though. He's getting some good value, but not nearly enough. Double kill for Hope, a single for Flandre, and the full fight goes 3 for 2 in favor of anyone's legend. When VCS was fighting all the time, that was bad macro. I don't even think that was true too. Because if you look at the way that, particularly around 2020 to 2021, which is when they weren't playing internationally, they were actually playing a lot around, again, just like better early game combos and better early game plays. Because that's actually how Tabe used to play. Tabe used to coach his teams. It was crazy. Good combo there onto Urha. Of course, not really the most important thing. It just felt like the follow-up wasn't quite there for Monkey's Cage. Good flash away from Hope. If they caught Caitlyn in that combo, perhaps you'd find a better fight there. Hang on, Urha's blown up again. Cube has to run away. Shanks walking forwards, another E. Not quite able to take down his erstwhile lover, though. Victor will leave him alive for just one more day. Herald summoned in the bottom river. This will massively smash through this tower. No protecting this one. Dragon alive. AL take the tower as well. And without Urha for disengage. I mean, Urha's had a mixed series. I think actually on the whole, He's been doing okay. Caught out a couple of times, but most of the time he's been tanking cooldowns. Something else. Jumping forwards again. Kyle, the one to flash this time. That was a blind ult. No follow-up, though. No follow-up. Too far this time, Monkey. The rock smashed into gravel. Goal flash forwards. Flandra finds another kill. Yeah, all right. Okay, Flandra. This is 2015 Flandra. This is 11 years removed in the making. This is the kind of carry Flandra which I wanted to see come back. Of course, we saw him the Graves top meta, but even then it was like, oh, old man Flandra winning worlds in 21 with this broken Graves tech. Really go back to the well. Go back to those early years of Flandra and see what he was doing. Solo killing the Shy in Prime. One of the very few players in the LPL that could do that. Couldn't quite catch on to Hope or Kyle. I think he had to go for Hope there, no. The flashless Caitlyn. I think that's a mistake. Then Flandra, of course, has the Hex Plate. Very nearly walked down for the kill without the flash. Gets him anyway. Karis off the board. That Aurora, one of the few things which has kept WE in these fights. And when he's off the board, well, of course, it looks a lot worse, doesn't it? 4,500 gold the advantage for Annual's Legend. Not a huge gold lead for Flandra. Of course, but he's been so impactful with it. You know, 5 kills, getting those assassinations in the backline. It's been very strong. WE. Well, they've tried to play around the Malphite. I think they found the problem, though, that when you just have one piece of engage, the one piece is real, I know, it makes it much harder to land it onto key targets. Now, we do have a point where pretty much everyone's flashes are down. Monkey needs to find a fight soon, and he needs to find it with other people in range to follow up, and they also need to do it before they're poked out by the Caitlyn Elise. Monkey's going to walk around the corner. Shanks doesn't have that flash. He's got Protobelt second, by the way. He has a lot of HP. Monkey quite low there, but the move speed from Nami passive will help out. Here comes Flandra on the flank! Carry once again on duty. Getting pretty good value there. Going towards the Essence Reaver second, by the way. He's got that sheen already built in, which is why those tumbles are hurting just that tad more. Monkey trying to heal off the wolves. Gets caught again by a bit of CC, and he has to get off the board. It's not like he can really fight for that much, but it means he can't ult. If you poke out the Malphite, he can't really ult, otherwise he's going to die before the full combo comes through. 16 was when Nymaera went towards. That's the one. Gotcha. Yeah. This is a bit of Snake Flandra, folks. Dude, I wish I was paying more attention to the LPL in those years and have those fonder memories of that time. Because someone like Raz, Kelsey Moser, Froskurin, Emily Rand, they talk about that time. So, you know what? I might actually reach out to Emily Rand and a couple of the others to have a chat about them. Because I'd love to chat about Flandra's golden years back then. Because I know that the whole region went away from that style of play. Because now, if you think about LPL now, you think carry top laners. That actually wasn't the case 10 years ago. I mean, Flandra was, but that wasn't the case over everything. Of course, 2015 was when WE had their, Gosh, 2015 was when WE made themselves... They got them... That was when they had Spirit jungle, right? Spirit was their jungle coming over from Korea, right? Keep walking down towards bot side. He was the guy playing Riven jungle. And they made that huge comeback to IEM, trying to walk down towards Shanks, walking forwards. Can't quite get themselves that slow. Shanks might actually outplay here. He's survived the 1v2, doesn't even need to flash. Cube really wanted to double up on that side lane. Couldn't quite get the value, and it's an ult down for free from Shanks. Tarzan also ulted in too, so it is an ult for ult. That's fair. Spots him out there. Good vision play with the E. And Lux E actually got a bit of nerf in terms of its vision radius, by the way. I think it did. Still gives you vision, though. The Lady of Light giving you some good information. Visual data. In terms of itemization, while Hope's going to one-shot you pretty much now. Kyle has Seekers, importantly. Shanks has the Protobelt and the Rod of Ages for a ton of HP. Second item for Flandra. Yeah, once you get Essence Reaver and Hexplay, you do really, really hurt. Tarzan's got himself 2 items too. Black Cleaver gets stacked up. Monkey is a level behind, and he takes a lot of damage, actually, when the Black Cleaver's been fully stacked. Yeah, that'll work. My understanding was LPL teams tend to follow the styles of the most recent winning team. Yeah, exactly. So WE led to the rest for playing for bot, then IG led them playing for top more. Yeah, for sure. And that's why EDG, when they won MSI, it was a bit more about... it was quite... Yeah, it was quite bot-centric around Deft, right, for a long time, too. Because EDG winning in MSI 2015 was big. And they had, had players like Imp on LGD as well. And that's why when it became such a top-side-centric meta in Worlds 2015, they just couldn't adapt. They just couldn't adapt. Teleport coming... what is happening here? That's a tidal wave. Teleport into a trapping cube. While the third dimension's been removed, he is well and truly squared. And AL are the roots of it. 4 goes to 2. And I think WE may go down to just the one win in this series. AL have really just shredded them with the Caitlyn Lux. No, for a bot lane that has not been about lane dominance. This has been a very good game from Hope and Kyle. They've stayed safe. They try and stop a recall there. Can't quite manage to do it. Gonna get over under the turret. Well, then 2 will become 1. It's not a swear. Route 2 is... whatever. Okay, Route 2. AL, pick up the dragon. Get themselves to the bot turret. Shanks has had a very solid game here on the Victor. Much better team play from Anyone's Legend. Again, they've been much better at playing around clear game plans. I think that Anyone's Legend are not great around playing compositions which don't... When they don't start off well. They don't quickly get themselves into a position where they know who they can play around. Trap onto the teleport. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Second teleport coming through. Just instant one-shot. Flandre gets to go into his ult. Hope does die, but... at what cost? Cube caught out on the side, and while he has Flash, I'm not really sure that will help. He does have Storm Raiders, which helps a bit. So they flash over. Do they need to? Tarzan does. There you go. He'll commit the summoner. Kill for him. Why not? 10 stack Medjais for Shanks, by the way, and he's using that to good effect immediately. Turret goes down. WE, it was a good game 1. Game 2, I could see the thought process, and even in game 3, that level 1, in another world, they walk away with 2 kills and the better part of that jungle invade. And this game snowballs in their favor. It just didn't happen, did it? It's a heartbreak for WE. I think both games were winnable. The early games didn't quite go well enough. Baron now started. Kyle holding the door shut alongside the gravity field as well. Trying to clear out that control ward. There isn't an ultimate from Monkey. He's going to get rooted up here. He doesn't have flash either. Ult in 10 seconds. He can't get there. He can't get there. The tidal wave is perspective. And they're not going to strike gold here. Sure, why not? Ult with Kyle to stop recalls. He has been a real arse on this Lux, trying to stop them from recalling. The ultimate when you're on support Lux is very different from the mid lane Lux, where you save it for the one-shot combo. Of course, the Lux is very good at just annoying people with long-range skill shots, stopping them from standing in the right places, from recalling in the right places. Annoying. WE is done. It is looking increasingly like they'll be going to 1 and 12. I mean, it's not a winless split. They've had some good games, and I think that they've found some of their creativity. And I think the thing about WE is I actually do see how the plan works. They're just not executing it quite right. Now, the early game jungling has been giving problems to Anyone's Legend. That's an area which I think Anyone's Legend have had to... They've been challenged on that a lot this split. I think the big things that we're learning about LPL is, and particularly Anyone's Legend, is if you're on blue side, send your mid-top laner down to help Raptors first clear. Invade Raptors and send your top laner down. It will save the entire game in some cases. Seems like top lane leash has actually become so important. Turret falls down there. Of course, Caitlyn Lux with a Baron buff is really annoying, and they do have a flash on Lux, and the will help him quite a lot. The Caitlyn doesn't have a flash, so a lot harder to survive there. Lux has the Victor and the Vayne both have it too. Oh, that's going to be a catch onto the Victor. Goes low. Can he survive this? He has a lot of HP, but perhaps not enough. Goes down. On the other side, Lux has died as well. Carrot's got a one-shot somewhere in that top lane. So it's ended up being a 2 for none right now. Tarzan's flown into everything too. 3 for none. They'll end up taking the top lane inhibitor turret, but I would call that a failed Baron push. They're going to be down negative gold from the Baron power play. They lose 3 members for none. They lose some summoners there too, which is very important, as we said, about the summoner economy. WE may be able to claw back some gold from turrets. Flandre has flash and he has ult, but I don't think he can really roll into 5. That would be some Vayne spotting. Does he look for it anyway? He'd need to find an isolated target. Vayne is many things, but wave clear she is not. Anyone's Legend. We were just praising them so much. Here we go. Goes on towards Monkey. He has the ultimate in 5 seconds. Gets the wallstone. That's not bad from him. Gets another passive. Flash away. Close there for a kill. Flandre cleans up one. Gets ulted though as the ult comes back up from the Malphite. It just ends up being a 1-for-1. But the more important player goes down on the side of Annual's Legend. Mikhail's used onto himself. 1-for-1, but Flandre can't quite get the job done. Victor's going to come in, has the Chaos Storm. He does have himself a Proto Belt. He sold off the Medjais after losing those stacks in the mid lane death. Tidal Wave used to dissuade them. 30 seconds until they get themselves onto the dragon. I was pretty close there, actually, with that Q. Which is why the voice went up a handful of tones. They will spot the ward. That brush there. Tarzan will get himself another camp if he can get himself towards level 16. It's pretty big for the Pantheon. Pantheon gets 10% armor shred per rank of his ultimates. Raises a fair question. I think in a 5v5, LNG could pose a threat to WE. EDG, LGD stand no chance, but LNG I could see beating them the way that they occasionally play right now. I mean, it's very hard to tell because of all these Nirvana teams having such mixed form. And we know that LNG have their own issues too, because, I mean, I think WE have good early game jungle pathing, and Croco hates that. Croco, if he falls behind in jungle pathing, is such a weight on his team, despite the fact that if he gets ahead, he's one of the best junglers in the league, legitimately, despite being a Nirvana jungler. That's how WE beat LNG the last time, where we thought, oh, well, you know, WE, you know, they have their issues, but Monkey's early jungle pathing has been very credible for them. Credible win condition. Alright, it's 3,000 gold lead for Annual's Legend, smaller than other points in the game. Hex Optics for Flandre, by the way, goes for the cheap item spike at that. I mean, if you get the kill on Vayne, getting the extra attack range after is very big for them. And a reminder, just once more in this series, if Anyone's Legend win this game, of course, as a cause of it, they will lock themselves top 4 for the split. WE, no real stakes for them besides pride, a bit of confidence heading towards playoffs. They kind of need it, right? You know, a team which has had precious little success in this split or this year, really. Looking at the items, About has a fire cannon. Makes sense against a low armor team where you are very much outranged by the Caitlyn Lux and have to deal with the Victor as well. The Collector, actually not too bad against a lot of these teams as well. Death Cap in for Karis with the Shadow Flame. Maybe you can one-shot some people. Talked about the items for Flandre already. X-Top takes the Fire Cannon for Hope. He's pretty strong. Kyle has himself the Redemption. Sat on the Seekers, so he's not had to build up to a full Zhonya's. And Cube has got himself 3 lethality items too. If the poke comes in from the Jace, we can have a different conversation about that. Monkey's getting tankier. Is he going to be tanky enough? Not sure. He's got the cooldown boots, which means he doesn't have the tenacity to shrug off a lot of what's been plaguing him. Baron up in less than a minute. Next Dragon would be Soul for Anyone's Legend. Only the second for WE, so AL still have the advantage, despite the fact that it's not been a clean closeout. Cube, can he get himself the big poke needed? Even onto Tarzan would be pretty big, right? The GA not quite there from Tarzan, still on cooldown. Will be up in about 30 seconds or so. Perhaps a little less, actually. Teleport coming in. Aurora coming across the flank. You know there's a ward in that one brush. Shanks will spot out Karis just after that teleport. Tarzan could ult across the mid lane, but quite dangerous to do so. He has the flash for the stun. Fire Cannon helping about. Hit the wave a little bit. His backup on the table. We'll get the E on about. Late game Corki Nami is very bursty. That E was well needed, actually, from Tarzan. Shot Blast not really hitting Kyle. Using the Shurellias there, actually, to avoid some of that poke. Losing quite a bit of HP. Lux is many things, but a champion able to tank poke, not really one of them. Trap line in the mid lane. Quite low down, actually. WE going straight on towards the Baron. They can tank it. I mean, they are the team with the tank. They have the Malphite. They're going to peel back off of it. Don't have full vision on it. Decent poke from Victor onto Jace. Monkey has that all. A lot of flashes to back up. Karis looking for the one shot. Can't get it on target there. Get ulted back in return, but Nami will heal him back up slowly with the W. Flandre needs to find split targets. Damn, that Baron is actually doing a lot of damage here. A little bit of sustain with stuff. That's the Protobal. Flash forwards from Tarzan, trying to catch off Karis. Gets the Mikhails.
Big damage traded side to side. The Chaos Storm used. Here comes the Pantheon. Where's he going? Is he going up the river? Yes, he is. Karras is out of the play. GA is going to go down. Kyle on the flank. The Tidal Wave trying to stop them from piling in. And Karras gets himself a play on the other side. Shanks, no! Hang on, Karras! He's catapulted himself back into the ultimate. How are Auroras doing this after a year of having this champion? Flandra goes down, but I think the damage is already done from anyone's legend. Hope will follow on. I cannot believe we see yet another Aurora catapult themselves to their doom with their own E. Puts them back into the wall of the ultimate. And just like Asteroids, the old arcane game, it's a game over as you fling yourself through the other side of the screen. It ends up being a 4-for-1. Just Flandra going down. Anyone's legend should be able to march in here. I say that. They don't feel confident. With 20 seconds on the death timers, it's not the game. It's going to be Baron, but it's not going to be the game. 30 seconds till Dragon. I mean, I guess they're afraid of death timers going for that too. But now the problem is, they've left the Baron for so long that they won't be able to reset for the soul. It was a flash on towards Karras from Tarzan, who then had to jump away with his own flash. He went quite low down. Tarzan got into the play, trades his GA for a continuation of the fight. One-man combo onto Flandra to stop him from getting into the mix of things. And this is the big play here, right? He flings himself back into the team. Karras, you can't be doing that, buddy. I mean, I can understand Erha mistiming his bubble, because you don't freaking expect someone to be jumping into there and needing to be saved. Hope ends up getting the kill onto 2 there. Double between Victor and that. Soul does go to W. Oh, sorry, Soul doesn't go to W, but they get the Dragon because AL choose the Baron instead. I'm not loving the decision making from anyone's legend here. Obviously, the team fight was a lot better. They have used a lot of flashes now, though. They don't have a single flash available. And Monkey has ultimate. There's a Zhonya's on Shanks. They broke the Seekers on Kyle. He needs to get a little bit more gold before he can get the full Zhonya's. Hey, you could see. Anyone's legend would really quite like to just get top 4 with this series and get to prep for playoffs. I don't know, man. When games get difficult, Anyone's legend just don't look like they have that awareness about what needs to be done on the map. Last year, I didn't like their objective setups anyway. They would set up vision around an objective, then leave it and retake it. Which is really risky. Now, having to then walk back over places where wards might have been dropped, look for that crazy flank angle rather than choking out the enemy team in the way that a Gen G or a more traditional LCK team does, T1 being the kind of like the odd one out there, right? It's just such a risky style to play. It's 4.5k lead in terms of gold, but there's a lot of items for WE. It's very late into the game, 35 minutes. We are in late game now. You see that AL don't feel like they can walk up. They don't have the flashes, and now it suddenly just feels like the Baron buff isn't really earning them much. They lost the Dragon, not breaking the base here particularly. Jace has a chance of landing Poke. Karras has a chance of burst. Monkey, of course, has the chance of landing a big ultimate. W for now, containing all 3 lanes. I mean, the Baron buff's going to amount to nothing. This is why Anyone's Legend are giving me a lot of issues, folks. A team like JDG, I think, have it down pat and what they want to do around objectives around the map. They clearly understand what they want to be doing. I think Junja has been very good at leading the team that way. Of course, when Junja falls apart, that's when the team falls apart with him, because he is the leadership there. We are at a point where WE can smash a combo onto someone important, they die. Now, what happens if you catch Hope? Now, Hope has a Seekers. That's how you know he's under threat. He doesn't have this, the flash, so he goes for a Seekers because he's like, yeah, I have to go for something defensive. And it makes a lot of sense, right? He's gone for cooldown boots, by the way. And we'll have that fully stacked up, the Gluttonous Greaves. There's a GA coming up for Tarzan, Zhonya's for Shanks, Zhonya's for Kyle, Seekers for Hope. They got the message, folks. And one of the reasons that this is a viable for AD carries is that you do have that extra item slot, but you don't have to, sacrifice an item slot compared to other champions in the game. This time you just have an extra item slot. Is AL choking? I think that they just don't know what to do in games without the coaching of Tabe anymore. I think that, you do have some veteran players across these rosters, and I think when Tarzan gets ahead and he can be the game changer, then they find that a lot easier. But I think they are struggling to play more intricate mid to late game macro. I think their drafts are more difficult to play, and I think that they don't always find the easy ways to get through them. Even last year, it's not like Tabe always had good drafting, right? But at least it felt like they sometimes knew how to play the more difficult amongst those drafts. Crazy close. It is. It is. I mean, the gold lead is getting more decorative. It's a minute till Dragon. And I think, look, AL have done a good job of surviving until their flashes come back up. I think that anyone's legend, if they have flashes, feel a lot better. They have flashes and Zhonya's for the next fight. Now, there's good poke coming from Cube. He doesn't have a Cyrildas to really help against the base armor being so high later on. The bat will take a bit of a chunk, but then again, he has his own Gluttonous Greaves. They're jumping onto Karis. He might have to trade his ult. Goes into W. That is not very helpful having that advert just there. We might have such a big fight. They'll jump forwards. Hang on, Tarzan might have gone too far. Has to flash backwards. Misjudged that. Quite a lot there, I think. Didn't even buy an ult from the other side. Blows his flash. Very nearly blows his GA. Dragon in 40 seconds, and they don't have flash or ult on the Pantheon. That could be pretty big. Now, the flash stun is a huge threat onto someone who's hanging around the edge of a fight here. There's an Infinity Edge for a bout. Hope has a BF sword, but, you know, you sacrifice some gold for that Seekers, right? Which we talked about the value of, but it does mean he is going to be lower damage than the Corki. The Corki will be higher damage if he actually gets to hit people. You landing onto the Malphite there. You get some good poke onto Hope. Just the end of that skill shot. 10 seconds. This is the Judgment Day. Trying to hold the trap lines in one side. Monkey walking up. He's pretty tanky. That's the whole point about the Malphite, really. Tarzan doesn't have a flash. There's actually a chance he ults onto Tarzan, but I suppose the other side of that equation is you really want that to threaten people. Here comes Karis. He can jump over bits and pieces of these trap lines. Spotted there. Good damage onto Shanks. Actually about to find a window, but he takes a huge chunk in return. Close run stuff. The Lux not quite able to land that ultimate. Flandra on the flank. Wants to use the blast cone to get into position. The Vayne really needs to get an isolated play. Flandra will need to be finding that. Karis still has that ultimate. A recall coming through from the Victor who can teleport back in. The teleport will be just over there on that control wall to the top right of the screen. Karis, this is that Q, walking towards that blast cone and forces Flandra over it. Flandra, he pops the ultimate. That was a bit of a miss, I think. It doesn't get the Dragon Day Elf. They don't get the soul. And suddenly the game will extend. W just have to disengage now. They don't get the smite. Flandra plops the ultimate. Not really sure what he thought was going to happen then. Maybe he thought he could chase down Karis, but I think he would have got one shot. Even with the LDR and his own ability to get huge damage out. I love Chinese Malphite, man. Oh, God. Baron's available. The thing is that WE kind of need to get back to wave clear. They've given up a lot of positioning on the map. They forced their way through mid lane. Now, the Malphite being so tanky at this point is an issue for anyone's legend because the Malphite can kind of brute force his way through choke points. You're not one-shotting him. You know, there's no magic pen from Shanks because he's gone for Shadow Flame. I mean, in terms of percent pen, he doesn't have a Void Staff or a Blood Letters or something like that. Flandra can kill him if he has enough time, but there is a chance that with the Frozen Heart and, you know, the ult and target, even the Vayne can struggle with that. Caitlyn's not exactly a Malphite killing specialist either. If Tarzan ults him, space him out, but look at this. Well, they don't get through his magic shield if it's Kaenic. He's still full HP. Pretty much. He's got his own passive shield, and he's got himself the Kaenic as well. The Malphite's a bit of a game changer. About jumping forward. Gets good damage down. However, it's gone on to the other side. Flandra gets a one-tap. 280 carries do better than one. Pantheon into the mid lane. W perhaps making the fatal error. The Caitlyn is still in the play. Shank's not there. Flandra goes down. Karis one-shots in turn. So 1-for-1. Tanked up is that Caitlyn ultimate by the Chase. 1-for-1. 80 carry for top lane. Although in this case, 80 carry for 80 carry. Flandra finished off the one-shot, which Caitlyn saw in the first part of it. 3 dragons apiece. 40 minutes on the board. Karis is doing some numbers. There's no teleport from the Aurora. I think this is going to be Baron down. W don't have the HP or the ultimates to fight it. Now, the flashes are important for AL, but I think the ultimates are more important for WE. There's a difference between a tidal wave and a final spark in this kind of comp. The E hits on target. The headshot makes a big difference, and Flandra gets the crit with the Essence Reaver Q. That'll do it. That'll do it. Yep, that on her. So how does Flandra die immediately after this? She doesn't get hit by the tidal wave or the Q, and he just gets one shot by Karis. Okay, fair play. Gets one shot by Karis, that'll do it. And then Karis jumps back into the wall this time, so he can actually get back out again. I just got home from work and LPL is still live. It is 6th game day, and we've had a fun time of it. We appreciate everyone who sticks by here. You know, there's no official broadcast for the LPL anymore, so you got to stop at places like this for all your entertainment. I hope you're enjoying yourselves as much as I am, because I am really enjoying myself with these kind of games. WE, a team with no stakes. They've gone vegetarian. Good for them. Have still proven tough opposition for AL. WE in the last week or two have been pretty strong. Anyone's Legend on the other side, they win this series, they lock top 4, but they did not want it to be as labored as this. That's the word I've been using. Belabored it has been. Shank's taking some poke from Victor. Appreciate that. Sam's going to the mid lane. Holds away from Monkey. Scary that. It's a lower cooldown. It's level 16. He's got a Zeke's, but it is still on cooldown for like, you know, a minute or so. I'm just walked in to give me food. Midway through that pick, I thought might end the game. Minute 30 until the dragon goes up, comes up now. Cube trying to get some poke. Does manage to get onto Hope. Even better there. Hope lands a big one, or a small one actually, in the same time. No flash on Kyle. No flash on Flandre. Those are 2 big summoners. No flash on Malphite. No flash on Corki on the other side, though. Sickly, Monkey being able to flash ult and about being able to flash away from potential skill shots as a shorter range AD carry is important. Both Vayne and Corki both have similar issues there, although in this case, the Nami really helps the Corki function, and you can just hit that one big rocket. Makes a big difference. Karis. Maybe the game changer here. Now, the Malphite is, of course, the big scary rock flying at you, but Karis can do that while invisible and one-shot you. It's a quite squishy game. The more items you get, one misstep, dead. He has a Seekers 2 now, so we can jump into the enemy team, go Seekers, perhaps get a W reset, and then jump out. 40 seconds till Dragon. This is getting a bit spooky. Poke from the Jace, from the Corki Nami, from the Victor, from the Lux and Caitlyn, all matter a lot now. Any damage that lands 30 seconds to a minute before the Dragon means double. Especially now that you're not really within safe reset time. Look at that. Shank's actually taking decent tank there. Poke there, rather. Some damage onto Monkey and onto a Bow. Now, the Nami can help sustain that up with a W, which does help on the other side. It's not really, I mean, there's a redemption for healing, but it's not that much in terms of dedicated. Karis. He's trying to thread the needle, isn't he? They go too deep. Karis might be able... Like, here comes Karis. Here comes Karis. What can you do there? Ultimate from Monkey! What was that? Monkey, what have you done? Flandre goes deep. Pantheon's coming in. Has the GA. He has an extra life to work with. Almost one-shots about. And Shanks will finish the deal. Goes golden. Karis into the middle of the team. Won't get enough done. But Monkey, what have you done? He ults to the side, still in range of the carries, and I have to imagine it's a misclick. Oh god, Monkey. That one is a game-losing play. WE so nearly got themselves that confidence upset. Anyone's Legend will lock themselves top 4, but only after a 3-game series and a 45-minute game 3 versus the worst team in Ascend. Anyone's Legend will be in top 4. WE will not find themselves their 2nd series victory. Thank you so much for joining us today. It'll be our last game of